Your Honors, good morning.
Good morning.
This is a continuation of the public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council of candidates for the position of Legal Education Board Chairperson or regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines or regular member representing the law students sector. But before proceeding, let's have first the centennial prayer for the courts, the Philippine National Anthem, and the Supreme Court hymn.
Almighty God, we stand in your holy presence as our supreme judge. We humbly beseech you to bless and inspire us, so that what we think, say, do will be in accordance with your will. Enlighten our minds, strengthen our spirit, and fill our hearts with fraternal love, wisdom, and understanding, so that we can be effective channels of truth, justice, and peace. In our proceedings today, guide us in the path of righteousness for the fulfillment of your greater glory. Amen.
Bayang magiliw pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hiniram, buyan ka ng magiliw, sa manlulubi kita masisingin. Sa lahat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo kamay, nagilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang nila. Ang isang ng watawat mo'y nabuhay na
Again, Your Honors, good morning.
Good morning.
The panel of interviewers for today are the following: the Honorable Justice Jose Catral Mendoza, Chairperson of the Judicial and Bar Council Executive Committee, and regular member representing the retired members of the Supreme Court. The Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr., regular member representing the private sector. The Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tiham, regular member representing the Academe. And the Honorable Judge Franklin J. de Monteverde, regular member representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Your Honors, for interview this morning are the following: Mr. Alexander D. Dumpa and Miss Patricia Rose Angelo S. Hidalgo. Both are vying for the position of regular member representing the law students sector. May I request the candidates to please raise your right hand so that I can administer the oath? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this public panel interview by the Judicial and Bar Council?
Yes, Your Honor.
So help you God. Thank you. Thank you. The first for interview this morning is Mr. Alexander D. Dumpa. And the first to interview the candidate will be the Honorable Judge Franklin A. de Monteverde. Judge de Monteverde, sir.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Ed.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Alex Dumpa.
Good morning, Your Honor.
From where in Mindanao do you come from?
Your Honor, I am from Marawi City, Lanao del Sur.
You were born there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you are presently studying law at the Mindanao State University. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Oh, what year are you in now?
I am currently in my third year, Your Honor.
Third year, and you still have 2 years? 2 years before you can graduate, or next year now?
I still have 1 year, Your Honor. More than a year, Your Honor.
More than a year. So you will be graduating in 2022.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I have observed that you have been an honor student from your elementary education up to the time you finished college.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you are a scholar there at the Mindanao State University.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, briefly, tell us something about yourself, particularly on your achievements, which you think are worthy of mention in relation to your application as LEB's regular member representing the law student sector.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Your
Okay.
Honors. I am Alexander Lidumpa, and I am from MSU Marawi City. I am a student leader since high school, and it has been my passion to engage in socio-civic activities as well as youth empowerment activities. Currently, I am serving as president of MSU Law Student Government. Despite my very active participation in extracurricular activities, I was able to maintain good grades. In fact, in 2016, I was awarded as Jose Rizal Model Student of the Philippines. In the following year, 2017, I was able to
Relax,
graduate as
relax lang.
university.
Alex, relax lang. Speak slowly. No.
Yes po, sir. Yes po.
Oh.
As I was saying, Your Honor, in 2017, I was able to graduate as University Valedictorian and Magna Cum Laude with a degree in International Relations. I was able to finish a four-year degree for only 3 years and 5 months. In the same year, Your Honor, I was able to represent the country as a Philippine Ambassador of Goodwill to the 44th Shift for Southeast Asian and Japanese Youth Program, which was held in Japan, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Laos People's Democratic Republic. The following year, Your Honor, 2018, I was once again privileged to represent the country to the fourth AFMAM, or the ASEAN Foundation Model ASEAN meeting where I was awarded. In fact, I was the only delegate who received two awards, the Diplomacy Award and the Best Delegate Award. And I believe that with my academic background and my active participation in extracurricular activities, I have been exposed in representation duties or with duties that involve representing an entity, Your Honor. And I believe that with this background and with this experience, I will be able to represent the law students effectively, Your Honor.
Okay. You are being recommended by the Dean of the Mindanao State University, Alice Edney Ditocalan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Uh, how close are you to him?
Your Honor, Dean Alicidin Tokalan has been a very good mentor to me. When he learned that I will enroll in law school and when he found out that I was a consistent honor student, he guided me throughout my stay in law school. And in fact, he has been mentoring me even up to now to make sure that I get most out of law school and be able to pass the bar with flying colors, hopefully.
So he voluntarily told you that he will be recommending you for this position voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, it was through the dean that I learned about the vacancy in the Legal Education Board, Your Honor.
Mhm. So, what's your reason for applying as a regular member representing the law student sector?
Your Honor, I have my mantra in life is to live an honorable life, Your Honor. I engage myself in activities that will leave a legacy and that will make a difference in the life of other people, Your Honor. And I believe that as a law student, I will have that honorable life in making a difference for other people if I will be able to represent the voice of the law students and allow them to be heard and negotiate or address their demands through the legal education board and help the law students have that kind of experience and that kind of legal education that prepares them to become competent lawyers in the country deserving of public trust and confidence, Your Honor.
Okay. Should you ever be appointed, what then are the programs that you would like to introduce in the legal education? Cite at least
Uh,
three long term programs.
Your Honor, I will, if given the chance, Your Honor, I would like to advocate on focusing on developmental programs. Number two, the focusing on extension services of law schools. And number three, Your Honor, is the providing of legal scholarships or law scholarships for deserving law students, Your Honor. On the number one program, Your Honor, involving developmental programs, I believe that the Legal Education Board may be utilized as an important instrument in promoting and improving the legal education in the country by initiating programs that will support, that will develop, and that will give law schools, especially those financially challenged and those poor performing law schools, to produce better products, Your Honor. These developmental programs may include, for example, the conduct of advanced training and development programs for qualified faculty members, the providing of assistance in procuring uh, equipments and facilities for using latest technologies. And this may also include the program of pooling of resources in order to help financially struggling law schools to have library development, to have research cooperation for joint development of curriculum, or even the promotion of the clinical legal education, Your Honor. I believe that the Legal Education Board should not be limited in exercising supervisory or regulatory function, Your Honor, because focusing so much on regulatory function may lead to the closure or of several law schools, Your Honor. And I believe that closing these law schools, especially in provincial schools, provincial areas, will not improve the quality of legal education in the country. In fact, it may lead to several detrimental consequences, Your Honor. One important consequence that may happen is that the closure of law schools may deprive rural communities of having competent lawyers, Your Honor, because these provincial law schools are the source of lawyers in these communities, Your Honor. Closing them is denying their access to justice, Your Honor. Why? Um, when you close a law school in these provincial areas, Your Honor, it may lead to lack of lawyers. And when there is insufficiency of number of lawyers, it may make it may give rise to monopoly of existing lawyers, Your Honors, and there will be no competition. And when there is no competition, Your Honor, I submit that justice will become expensive to those people in the rural areas or in the countryside, Your Honor. And I believe that this should not happen because every Filipinos deserve sufficient and adequate access to justice, Your Honor. And that is why I believe that I will champion on developmental programs should I be appointed to the Legal Education Board, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor, I believe that law schools should focus on conducting extension services, Your Honor. By conducting extension services, Your Honor, we will be exposing law students to the communities. They will have the necessary skills and knowledge and the experience that they can not get in a classroom setting or experiences that a classroom setting cannot replicate, Your Honor. Aside from aside from making these law students have the necessary skills and knowledge in surviving the real world, Your Honor, uh, the gap between the community and the law schools are actually filled by extension services, Your Honor. And by exposing these students, the law students, through extension services, um, we fill the gap between the legal community, between the community and the law schools, and thus promoting the rule of law in these rural areas by using law schools or by utilizing law schools as agents of the rule of law, Your Honor. And finally, Your Honor, I would like to advocate on making LEB help in or provide law scholarships for deserving law students, Your Honor. Your Honor, I am studying in a provincial school, Your Honor, a state university that is mandated by law to promote peace in Mindanao, um, and promote peace in Mindanao by providing quality education to the people of Minsupala, Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan, Your Honor. And most of the students here are actually from low income families, Your Honor, and most of them are poor, Your Honor. And with my experience here in MSU, I have realized that there are several students, honor students, who are actually very much promising, but they cannot enroll in law school because they not have the sufficient funds, Your Honor. They do not have the opportunity to attend in law school. So by making use of LEB and providing scholarships to law students, Your Honor, I believe that this will improve the quality of legal education in the country, Your Honor, because these students are actually promising. They only need the means to be able to attend law school, Your Honor. And by giving them the opportunity to attend law school, Your Honor, we also address the lack of lawyers in these rural communities, especially in provinces, Your Honor.
Okay, Alex, what about reforms? Do you have some reforms in mind that you would like to inject into the legal system, legal education board?
Um, I submit, Your Honor, that there are certain problem areas in legal education existing in our country that may be addressed in order to reform the Philippine legal education, such as, for example, the revision of law school curriculum, Your Honor. Number two, the addressing of the lack of resources of law schools, Your Honor. Number three is the improvement of legal pedagogy in the country. Number four is the promotion of faculty programs, advanced training and development programs of faculty members. And number five, Your Honor, is the process of admitting law students to the law schools, Your Honor. Your Honor, should I expand on these matters, Your Honor?
Okay, briefly, Alex.
Yes, Your Honor. As to the problem on curriculum, Your Honor, I believe that our curriculum must be designed in such a manner that law students will have an experiential learning, Your Honor, to have that experience that cannot be replicated in a classroom setting or an experience that will prepare them not just to pass the bar, but actually to become competent lawyers in the future, deserving of public trust and confidence. Like, for example, strengthening the clinical legal education programs in the curriculum of law schools or the apprenticeship programs in law schools, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor, as to resources, I believe that the lack of resources in these law schools, Your Honor, deprive these law schools to have sufficient access to library developments, Your Honor, research, and that may help improve their development programs. Number three, Your Honor, as to excuse me, Your Honor, as to the legal pedagogy, Your Honor, I believe, Your Honor, that the legal pedagogy existing in our country should not be static, Your Honor. That is, there should be innovations and explorations of other modes and the best practices of other law schools that may be employed in our country in order to improve the legal education, Your Honor. I submit, Your Honor, that most of the faculty members in law schools, Your Honor, are very much competent lawyers, Your Honor. But I also submit that while they are competent lawyers, Your Honor, they do not necessarily have the ability or the skills required to teach in a classroom setting, Your Honor. And I think this problem of lack of skills in teaching in law schools, Your Honor, may be addressed by providing advanced training programs and development programs to qualified faculty members in order to empower them or to improve their teaching methods, Your Honor. And finally, Your Honor, as to the admission of law students in the country, Your Honor, I understand that the Philippine law school admission test has been rendered unconstitutional, Your Honor, and I understand that. However, Your Honor, I submit that the admission of law students should be improved, Your Honor, in such a manner that it may able to filter deserving or prepared law students to attend law school, Your Honor. And the best solution to that is that the Philippine Association of Law Schools and through the mere supervision of the Legal Education Board may come up with a unified, standardized, and acceptable law school admission test that is not unrestrictive of their academic freedom, that is cost efficient, that is accessible, and that is effective in identifying or filtering students that have the potential to attend law school, Your Honor.
Okay, Alex. What about those reforms initiated by the former members of the board, of the LEB board?
Uh,
Will you continue? Will you continue them?
Yes, Your Honor. The existing reforms initiated by the Legal Education Board may be continued or improved, Your Honor. We should not automatically abrogate them, Your Honor. Rather, Your Honor, we have to evaluate first the lapses, the strengths of the reforms implemented by the Legal Education Board, and by evaluating these reforms or these programs of the Legal Education Board, we would be able to come up with a modified version of these programs that may better address the existing problems, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, a youth party list representative said that academic freedom does not include freedom to commit sedition or inciting people to rebel against the government. In the wake of criticisms from leftist groups on Defense Secretary Lawrence has moved terminating the 1989 Department of National Defense University of the Philippines Accord, in your opinion, was academic freedom abused prior to the abrogation of the DND-UP Accord? Why or why not?
Your Honor, I submit that there has been no abuse in the academic freedom of the University of the Philippines, Your Honor. The academic freedom is protected under our fundamental law, the Constitution. It provides that the academic freedom shall be enjoyed by all institutions of higher learning, and this right includes the right of schools and colleges to decide and adopt its aims and objectives, free from coercion and interference. And the only exception given under our Constitution is when there is an overriding public welfare that may allow the restraints of academic freedom, Your Honor. In the case of the University of the Philippines and the DND Accord, I submit, Your Honor, that there has been no abuse, Your Honor, because the ground of terminating the UPDND Accord is merely suspicious, Your Honor. There is no concrete evidence that the UP is really breeding leftists, Your Honor. In fact, the right to conduct activism, Your Honor, is a fundamental that is a right that is protected by our Constitution. Our Constitution guarantees us the right to peaceably assemble and petition the government in order to redress our concerns, Your Honor. And admittedly, the University of the Philippines has been very much effective in addressing the concerns of the people through activism, Your Honor. And the UPDND Accord uh, is actually an evidence or a symbol that sends a clear message that in a democratic country, laws must be enforced with limitations to protect the rights of the people, Your Honor.
But would you agree with me that the rights must be exercised within due bounds and not beyond the academic freedom
Yes,
that
Your Honor.
the students of UP are saying?
Yes, Your Honor. I submit that all rights have their own limitations, and these limitations could be found under our Constitution, Your Honor. In the case of academic freedom, Your Honor, the Constitution only limited this academic freedom by reason of public welfare, Your Honor, that may allow or justify the conduct of restraints in academic freedom, Your Honor. In the present case, Your Honor, there is no concrete evidence that is presented by the DND that may justify determination, Your Honor. There is no concrete evidence that there has been really abuse in the academic freedom of the University of the Philippines, Your Honor.
In your honest opinion, how should academic freedom be exercised? Shall be exercised by the students through rallies, through going out of their classrooms with placards, or shall it be done through conference, dialogues? What is your opinion on this?
Your Honor, I am a graduate of international relations, and in our program, we have been taught to always engage in diplomacy and peaceful negotiations, Your Honor. And I believe, Your Honor, that the conduct of activism is not necessarily outside the Constitution, Your Honor, because this right to peaceably assemble and to petition the government is a right that is guaranteed by our Constitution, Your Honor. So, unless there has been abuse in the conduct of rallies, Your Honor, activism that is beyond what is allowed by law, that is the time that restraint could be conducted, Your Honor. But as long as they are conducted in a peaceable manner, Your Honor, I do not see any reason of restricting these rights guaranteed by the Constitution, Your Honor.
Okay, what then is meant by academic freedom and what are its parameters?
Your Honor, academic freedom under our Constitution provides that academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. In the case of, in a certain case involving the Computer College, the Supreme Court held that academic freedom includes the right of schools and colleges to decide and adopt aims and objectives, and to determine how these aims and objectives could be best attained free from coercion and interference, say possibly when say possibly when public welfare calls for when overriding public welfare call for restraints, Your Honor. This academic freedom or the academic freedom of schools and colleges include the right to determine who may be admitted to study, who may teach, what may be taught, and how it shall be taught, Your Honor. And I believe that is not only limited to that, because by academic freedom we also allow those involved to freely express their opinions, Your Honor. And this is another right that is also protected by our Constitution, and that is our freedom of speech, Your Honor.
What is your philosophy of legal education, Alex?
Your Honor.
What is your philosophy of legal education?
Your Honor, I submit that law students should be considered as apprentice of knowledge, apprentice of practice, and apprentice of purpose. That is, Your Honor, law school should not be an end-all purpose. It should not be the end goal of every law student. Rather, it should be utilized or considered as a means of obtaining important goals, such as, for example, empowering the communities and providing access access to justice, Your Honor, to every Filipinos, Your Honor.
Okay. Alex, my time is up. Thank you for your time. Good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, po.
Okay. Attorney Michelle.
Thank you, Judge De Monteverde. Wait for
Attorney
this is
Bell,
very
is that you?
difficult.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Uh, shall we wait for Justice Iham?
I
We will wait for Justice Iham.
Is he still not there? He was there. a few minutes ago when we opened.
He left po.
Okay. Kung antayin natin, I'll have one question pa muna kay kay
Yes, Your Honor.
Alex Dumpa. Alex,
Yes, Your Honor.
let's go back to academic freedom.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are the two main views when it comes to academic freedom?
Your Honor, what is it again, Your Honor?
What are the two main views when it comes to academic freedom? I'll give a hint.
Your Honor,
The first view is from the standpoint of the educational institution.
Yes, Your Honor. As to the standpoint of educational institution, as I have mentioned earlier, they have the right to determine who may be admitted to study, what to teach, who may teach, and what shall be taught. While on the perspective of those learners or who may be admitted to the academy, Your Honor, students are given the freedom to determine and pursue their own courses or pursue courses or education that they think fit for their improvements, Your Honor.
So what's the other standpoint? Okay, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you the answer, but you expound on it.
Yes,
From
Your
the
Honor.
standpoint of the members of the academe.
I submit, Your Honor, that the members of the academe have the freedom to express their opinions, without necessarily facing any um, any sanctions arising from their expression of their ideas in their teaching, Your Honor. That is, they could freely expound or discuss matters without any interference without any interference or coercion, Your Honor, that may prevent them from doing so.
Is there an exception to that?
Uh, I submit, Your Honor, um, that this right may be limited when there is a when an overriding public welfare, Your Honor, calls for its restraint. For example, Your Honor, when a certain teacher, for instance, instead of teaching, is inciting to sedition, that is unnecessary or obviously and evidently not connected with his teaching, Your Honor.
Okay, I read further Frank Lovejoy, Encyclopedia of Social Science, page 384, which states, unless his methods are found by qualified bodies of his own profession to be completely incompetent or contrary to professional ethics. So again, Alex, good luck.
Thank you again, Judge de Monteverde.
Thank you.
The next to interview Mr. Dumpa is Honorable Noel Jimenez Tihang.
Thank you.
Honor.
Thank you, lady with the mask. I cannot
Attorney
identify.
Edith po. This is Attorney Edith.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Alex Dumpa. How are you today?
Good morning, Your Honor. I am doing fine.
Okay, I can't see you, but I can hear you, but I can't see you. Oh, I can see you now. Alex, you are applying to represent the student sector. Were you endorsed by any student organization?
Your Honor.
Were you endorsed by any student organization?
No, Your Honor. I wasn't endorsed by a student organization, but except for our dean, Your Honor.
Do you think, since there are many applicants for the student sector in the lab, do you think the JBC should require all applicants to secure endorsement from student organizations?
I submit, Your Honor, that the Judicial and Bar Council may require an optional requirement of having of securing endorsement from student organizations, but it should not be a mandatory requirement that must be obtained by an applicant in order to be able to apply, your honor. Because I believe that making this a mandatory requirement will become it will become exclusionary on the part of those students who have the ability and the potential to become effective representatives to the legal education board, your honor.
But how will the JBC, the public, and even the board be certain that you are representing a student organization? How will how will you be able to exemplify? How will you be able to communicate the demands, the aspirations of the student sector in the legal education board if you do not secure or obtain their endorsement?
uh, I submit, Your Honor, that we could still amplify the voices of these student organizations without securing their endorsement by utilizing existing means, Your Honor, such as, for example, the social media, or if given the chance to become a representative of the legal education board, a student would have the means to actually form a network that may not network or a platform that could easily access the law students in the country, Your Honor. The Legal Education Board may form cooperation with the Association of Law Students of the Philippines, Your Honor, that and and by forming this network, Your Honor, the student representative to the Legal Education Board could actually hear the voices of the law students, Your Honor.
If you sit in the legal education board as the representative of the student sector, will you be submitting proposals coming from your own judgment or coming from the student sector?
Your Honor, one of the most important functions of a student representative is actually to represent the entity that he is representing, and he must be able to relate to them. And to be able to do that, Your Honor, if I become appointed as a student representative, I will um, I will use the existing means available to me in order to gather the proposals of these existing organizations, Your Honor. And
Can you be more specific? What concrete
your
will you do to show that you
Your
are
Honor.
representing? What concrete steps will you adopt to show that you are representing the student sector?
Your Honor, I have been engaged in representation duties, Your Honor. I have represented the country in the international arena twice, Your Honor, and currently I am serving as president of our colleges of our law student government, Your Honor. And because of this, Your Honor, because of my experience, Your Honor, I have learned that the best way to represent an entity is to relate to them, Your Honor. And I myself is a law student in a provincial law school who has
Yeah,
experienced this
there
problems,
are
Your Honor.
many law students nationwide. I guess the point I'm trying to drive at is, will you consult them? And how will you consult with the student organization? That's what I'm trying to ask. Because if you want to represent somebody, it is not enough that they know you to have attended conferences. Will you be a representative who will merely wait for proposals, for suggestions, or will you go directly to student organizations and consult them?
Your Honor, I will go to the student organizations, to law students, and consult them about their concerns, Your Honor, and aspirations, so that I'd be able to become their voice in negotiating these concerns to the Legal Education Board, Your Honor.
Now, what problems, although you have stated this generally when you were asked by Judge de Monteverde, can you give me specific urgent problems confronting law students in the field of legal education? Can you tell me those specific problems and the solutions you would like to propose?
Your Honor, one of the some of the existing problems I've personally experienced in our law school, and I think is also present in some other law schools, is the lack of funds for the operation of law schools, Your Honor. Our school does not, because of lack of funds, Your Honor, law schools do not have the sufficient means, Your Honor, to have library development, Your Honor, access to books, access to journals, research, Your Honor, the conduct of clinical legal education programs, Your Honor. Aside from the lack of funds, Your Honor, for the operation, there is also lack of adequate facilities, Your Honor. I believe that by providing that facilities that are conducive to learning may improve the quality of learning of law students, Your Honor. Third,
How
Your
will
Honor, is
you raise funds? If you're a member
uh,
of the LEB, how will you raise funds to achieve the procurement of those facilities?
Your Honor, we may help the law schools to find sponsors, Your Honor, or aside from finding sponsors, Your Honor, we may create a pooling of resources from of law schools who have the financial capabilities to help those financially challenged law schools, Your Honor.
So you're saying you would encourage rich, financially affluent law schools to subsidize those law schools which are financially handicapped? Is that what you're
Uh,
saying?
Not necessarily subsidize, Your Honor, but uh, what I am trying to explain, Your Honor, is to pool their resources in order to help those financially challenged law schools to be improved, Your Honor. Like for example, Your Honor, by conducting joint development programs for curriculum revision, Your Honor, by conducting library development and research cooperation, Your Honor. By this means, Your Honor, the rich law schools do not necessarily subsidize the financially challenged law schools, but they actually help them academically in improving their operation,
That's
Your
a
Honor.
socialist approach to solving the problems. Now, what other problems, urgent problems, confront law students? You said lack of facilities, which are
Uh,
conducive to legal education. Can you give me other specific problems?
yes, Your Honor. I believe that a very common problem existing is the lack of full-time and qualified faculty members, Your Honor. And
How will you solve? How will you solve it?
Your Honor, I have read in a certain research that in the Philippines, most faculty members are actually part-time, Your Honor, and not necessarily full-time, Your Honor. And because of this, there are some faculty members who do not have the commitment towards teaching, Your Honor. And I think this could be best addressed by making the lab initiate developmental programs or conduct advanced training and development programs that may encourage or may develop the qualified faculty members to have the skills to teach, Your Honor. Because I submit, Your Honor, that while faculty members are good lawyers, they do not some may not necessarily have the ability or skills to teach in a classroom setting, Your Honor.
All right. Now, let's talk about academic freedom. This has been asked repeatedly of all applicants. In your opinion, is academic freedom circumscribed within the confines of the school? Meaning to say, academic freedom exists inside the school premises. Is there academic freedom outside of the school premises?
Your Honor, the academic freedom is already guaranteed by our Constitution, and there is no limitation imposed by the Constitution. There is no express
Can you give
limitation.
me an example? Can you give me an example of academic freedom that can be exercised outside of the school premises?
I submit, Your Honor, that one example is the freedom of the students to express their ideas, opinions, Your Honor, and to peaceably assemble outside the premises of their schools, Your Honor. I believe that this freedom to peaceably assemble and petition the government is a right that is also connected to the academic freedom of schools, Your Honor.
Justice Tiham, can you hear me po? Justice Tiham? Your Honors, Justice Tiham was disconnected. Um, Judge Ila, would you like to start or should we wait for Justice Tiham to reconnect?
That can we just wait for Justice Tiam?
Okay po, Judge. Mr. Dumpa, please stand by lang po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, it's just a matter of continuity.
Okay po, Judge.
Thank you. What's this? Edit?
Good
Nice
morning.
to see you. Morning. How is that? Edit?
We're trying to get in touch lang po with Justice Tiham. Please stand by po.
Mm. Principles. Could you tell us more about yourself? Something which are not found in your application requirements.
Your Honor, I believe that that uh, if I become appointed as the Legal Education Board representative representing the law students, I may be able to give just representation to the law students because of the following reasons, Your Honor. Number one, Your Honor, I have a substantial experience in involving duties of representation, Your Honor. As I have said, I have represented the country twice, and I am currently serving as president of the MSU Law Student Government. In performing my duties as a student representative and a student leader, I have understood very well that the best way to represent an entity is to be part of that entity and be able to relate to them. Your Honor, second point, Your Honor, I am studying in a university that is mandated specifically by law to promote peace in Mindanao, Your Honor, by providing quality education
All right,
to the tribe people of.
excuse me,
Yes,
Alex.
Your Honor.
These are mere rehearsal of what you stated during the interview by Judge De Monteverde, as well as a part of the interview of Justice Tiham. Tell me
Yes,
something
Your
about
Honor.
yourself. That don't you have any girlfriend, any relationship at this time? Okay, medyo relax ka lang naman. Yung tao ka rin naman, di ba? Hindi ka naman,
Yes, Your Honor.
don't you have any girlfriend?
Uh, no, Your Honor. I am single, Your Honor.
Why?
Your
Something
Honor,
wrong?
no, Your Honor. I am from a poor family, Your Honor, in Lanao del Sur, and I want to concentrate on my studies and be able to graduate on time and to pass the bar in order to help my family to have better living, Your Honor. Aside from helping the community, Your Honor. That is why I am devoting my time to studying, Your Honor.
What are your hobbies?
Uh,
Your
Your
hobbies?
Honor, I like yes, Your Honor. I like reading, Your Honor, and when I am not reading, I like watching American series, Your Honor.
Going back to your status that devoting yourself to studying and your dream to become a lawyer, no? And you mentioned that you don't have any relationship, even from the very
Yes, Your
beginning.
Honor.
Any relationship with
Yes, Your
the other gender or other sex? Not even one.
yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't have any experience, Your Honor, of having a romantic relationship with anyone, Your Honor.
And what activities do you habitually engage in?
Your Honor.
Habitual activities habitually engage in. Have any
Your
sports
Honor. Your Honor.
except for
Aside from
reading?
activity,
Yes,
Your
please.
Honor, I am a student leader, Your Honor, and I am very much active in social civic activities, Your Honor. In fact, I during the pandemic, I helped our organization, the Voice of the Youth Lanao, in coming up with programs or donations that may help our financially challenged tricycle drivers here in Marawi City, Your Honor. I am also active in helping the um, those who are in need of legal advice, Your Honor. I do not necessarily give the legal advice, Your Honor, but um, I use I ask my professors to help those who are in need of legal advice, Your Honor. And aside from this, Your Honor, I am also conducting a tutorial for our first year law students, Your Honor, voluntarily. I understand that because of the pandemic, everything has to be self-directive, Your Honor. That law students cannot rely solely on their professors. That they must go the extra mile, Your Honor. Because of this, I realized that I have to help those incoming or those freshman law students, Your Honor, because they do not have the experience yet in law school, Your Honor, that may help them survive their first year, Your Honor. And because of this need, Your Honor, I voluntarily engaged in conducting Google Meeting sessions of teaching them the basic of law school, Your Honor, such as conducting lectures on statutory construction, the basic of political law and persons and family relations, Your Honor.
Yes, Alex. You were born in the what's this place? Talub, Tamparan, Lana del Sur.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is how near or far is this place to Marawi City?
Your Honor, Talub Tamparan, Lanao del Sur is only less than an hour away from Marawi City, Your Honor.
So, how about your parents? Haji Usman Sultan Dumpa. What was his means of living?
Your Honor, my parents used to be farmers, both of them. But right, currently they are managing a business, Your Honor, and we are nine in the family. I have eight siblings, and seven, and all of us except for my younger sister have finished a college degree, Your Honor.
You confine yourself to your as a leader in as a student leader. Where were you during the Marawi siege?
Your Honor, I was in the campus. I was in the campus during the beginning of the Marawi siege, Your Honor. In fact, I was uh, trapped inside the campus during the first day of the Marawi siege, Your Honor, and it was a very traumatizing experience, Your Honor.
Aside from being traumatized, what was your feeling then?
Um, Your Honor, I was not yet a law student that time, Your Honor, but I'm already planning to enter law school. And my reason of entering law school during that time is only to improve myself, Your Honor, for personal growth, to help my family improve their living, Your Honor. But because of the Marawi siege, Your Honor, I have learned that the rule of law here in Lanao del Sur is problematic, Your Honor. That there are people who would take the law in their own hands in order to achieve their own ends, Your Honor. And because of this realization, I was awakened to the reality that I do not live in an ideal world. And the least thing that I could do is to use myself as an instrument in promoting the rule of law in my area, Your Honor. And that is why I pursued law school with a different reason that I used to have before I entered law school, before Marawi Siege, Your Honor.
So, what is your observation or reaction as to the rehabilitation of Marawi City?
Your Honor, to be honest, I am a bit frustrated, Your Honor, because the Marawi siege took place in 2017, and several years have passed, and the rehabilitation of Marawi City only began in 2020, Your Honor, and um, I think that the rehabilitation is slow, and the displaced internally displaced persons or individuals affected by the Marawi siege are actually neglected because of this slow rehabilitation of the city, Your Honor.
And as a student, what can you suggest for the complete rehabilitation of the Marawi City?
Um, Your Honor, I am a member of the MSU Legal Aid Clinic, and through the Legal Aid Clinic, we go to the internally displaced persons affected by the Marawi siege, and we render advices, Your Honor. We help them in securing their titles to their lands, to their properties affected by the siege, Your Honor. And as a law student, I guess with this limited means, Your Honor, I was able to help those internally displaced people to rehabilitate themselves, Your Honor, and be able to survive the challenges that they are facing arising from the siege, Your Honor.
At in your PDS, you stated that you took a postgraduate degree in 2017. What was it?
Your Honor, I was able to finish my degree for only 3 years and half, Your Honor. And because of graduating early, Your Honor, I enrolled myself in the Master of Public Administration program of MSU, Your Honor. And during that time, Your Honor, law school was not yet accepting admissions for law students. That is why I did not want to remain static, and I enrolled myself in a program that I think would improve me personally, Your Honor.
Were you able to receive your degree or the
Uh,
masteral in the public administration?
Uh, yes, Your Honor. It was in public Masters of Public Administration, but I wasn't able to finish the degree as I was then planning to really pursue law school, Your Honor.
How would you rate yourself as president of the MSU Law Student Government? Just from
Uh,
1 to 5. Sige, para kahit naman self-serving lang yan, mapagbigyan ka namin. Sige.
uh, Your Honor, I think I would rate myself 8 out of 10, Your Honor.
Okay.
Because
Okay,
uh,
please continue.
I would rate myself 8 out of 10, Your Honor, as president of the law student government of MEC, Your Honor. It is not perfect because I believe that there may be lapses or I wasn't able to really satisfy the students of our school. It is 8 because I think I have did my best and I have conducted programs and programs that will best improve my fellow law students. I have engaged, I have conducted in programs that will inform them, that will inspire them, and that will empower them not only as law students, but actual law students, but as student leaders of our community, Your Honor.
Alright, how do you move or steer law students in the direction you wish
Uh,
as
uh,
a student leader? As a leader,
Your Honor, what is it again, Your Honor?
how do you move or steer law students in the direction you wish?
Your Honor,
Simply
I
what?
am pla- I am planning to become a ambassador of the Philippines, Your Honor. It is my dream to become a member of the Philippine Diplomatic Corps, Your Honor.
Diplomatic Corps. Alright. You are a consistent achiever, a class valedictorian in elementary and high school, and a magna cum laude in your bachelor's degree. Do you think you are more competent than the other applicants?
Uh, I humbly submit, Your Honor, that that my achievements do not necessarily mean that I am competent than my other fellow applicants, Your Honor. But I submit also that these achievements are a testament that I am a very diligent person, that I take any work with great sense of responsibility and determination, Your Honor.
And why should you be chosen by the council over other applicants who may have similar qualifications or more than you have?
Uh, I believe, Your Honor, that aside from having substantial experience in representation duties, uh, I think qualities that other applicants do not have, Your Honor, is that I personally submit that I am the only Muslim applicant um, in this entire application process, Your Honor. There has never been, I submit that there has never been a Muslim representative in the Legal Education Board, Your Honor. And I understand that if given a chance, I will represent all law students regardless of their beliefs and aspirations in life. But I submit that with the creation of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, and considering that there are laws promulgated by the Congress and crafted by the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao that exclusively affects Muslims and the Bangsamoros in the areas, having a Muslim representative to the Legal Education Board will help address and deeply understand the concerns of Muslims and non-Muslim areas, non-Muslim law students that experience in the Bangsamoro areas, or the problems that only affects Muslim law students, Your Honor.
Is that a big deal,
Uh,
being a Muslim?
not necessarily, Your Honor. What I am trying to say, Your Honor, is I am a student of a university that is populated by diverse people, Your Honor. Our university is mandated to educate the tribe people of Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan. And because of this mandate, statutory mandate, our university is populated by Christians, by Lumads, and by Muslims, Your Honor. And with my almost 8 year of stay in the university, I have been acquainted with having the skills of understanding people, diverse people, Your Honor, and be able to help them regardless of their different walks of life, Your Honor.
By the way, what is instructional flexibility?
Your Honor, I believe I submit that instructional flexibility is um, that is teaching in a manner that is not static, Your Honor. Um, that is instructing or teaching um, through other modes, Your Honor, through innovations, Your Honor, and not necessarily focusing on a specific and permanent method, Your Honor.
All right. What is the policy of the state on legal education?
Um, I submit, Your Honor, that the state gives importance to the legal education in the country and gives importance to the legal education in the country, as evidenced by the creation of the Legal Education Board through Republic Act 7662 or the Legal Education Reform Act of 1993. Because of this law, Your Honor, we could understand or we could see that legal education is supervised by an agency that is that by an agency different from an agency that is supervising other professions, Your Honor. Most professions in the country are supervised by the Commission on Higher Education, or Your Honor. But because of the importance of legal education, a single agency was created and specially mandated to improve the quality of legal education in the country.
Or rather, the policy of the state is to uplift the standards of legal education in order to prepare law students for advocacy, counseling, problem solving, and decision making. You go back to the basic.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is in accordance with Section 2, Republic Act 7662. And what is the value of the Legal Education Board to legal education?
Uh,
Oh,
your, Your Honor, I submit that having a specific agency that is specially mandated to administer legal education will help improve legal education in the country, as there is a focus given to the legal education. Because of having an agency that focuses on legal education, the problems, concerns, and aspirations facing the legal education may be addressed immediately, Your Honor. As I have said, there is an entity that supervises the legal education in the country.
and what initiatives are you going to propose if nominated and appointed in the Legal Education Board?
As I have said, Your Honor, I will try to advocate on making lab not limited to make lab extend on developmental programs, Your Honor, to highlight extension of services of law schools, especially provincial law schools, Your Honor, and finally the provision of scholarships for deserving law students, Your Honor.
All right. By the way, can you pitch to us your advocacy for studentry reform and specific steps to implement this through the Legal Education Board?
Your Honor, I think the reforms that directly affects the student are number one, the admission process of law students, Your Honor. I submit that that the success of any legal education system in the country lies within the kinds of law students that it has, Your Honor. By filtering those law students who are prepared to attend law school, Your Honor, this will significantly improve the quality of legal education, Your Honor. And because of that, I am advocating on having a unified and standardized admission test that is crafted by the Philippine Association of Law Schools, because in this way we form a standardized exam that is unrestrictive of their academic freedom, that is cost efficient, Your Honor, that is effective, and that is accessible, Your Honor. I submit that it is cost efficient because it will be administered by the law schools themselves, Your Honor. Personally, I was able to take the PhilStat, Your Honor, and coming from Marawi City, it was very difficult for us to take the PhilStat because it is in Cagayan de Oro City, Your Honor. Aside from it is far from our location, Your Honor, we have to spend nights there, Your Honor. We have to spend money in order to have a place to stay for to attend the exam, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor, I would like to advocate on extension services, Your Honor. I submit that aside from promoting clinical legal education program and apprenticeship programs, students should be exposed on in the community by conducting extension services, Your Honor. In conducting extension services, Your Honor, we do not only improve the law students to have the skills and knowledge necessary to survive or become competent lawyers, but we also, as I have said, we fill the gap between the community and the law schools, Your Honor. And finally, Your Honor, I would like to advocate on providing for scholarships for deserving law students, Your Honor. As I have said, I met several people who are very much promising honor students who want to attend law school but cannot attend law school because they do not have the means to do so, Your Honor.
All right, my time is up. I only have one final question, Alex.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mary's father has three daughters, Nana and Nene. What is the name of the third daughter? Oh.
Mary, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Your
That's the
Honor.
correct answer, Ragato.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge
Thank
Ila.
you. Good luck then.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge Ilaw. The next
Thank
to
you too.
interview,
Welcome.
Mr. Dumpa, is Justice Jose Catral Mendoza. Oh,
Attorney Edith,
yes,
Bumalik.
yes.
Mrs. Tiham,
We'll go
with
back po kay Justice Ihang to resume his interview of the applicant. Justice Tiham, Your Honor.
Thank you. I just went on a bathroom break. Good morning again, Alex. You said it is
Good
timely
morning, Your Honor.
for somebody from Mindanao to be in the lab. To the best of your recollection, there has been nobody from Mindanao appointed to the lab.
Uh, Personally, Your Honor, it was I think our dean who told me that uh, a student representative has never been appointed to the Legal Education Board, Your
But if
Honor. That is coming from
you're
Mindanao.
appointed, you will be representing all students, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Not only Muslim students.
Yes, Your Honor.
But the tenor of your explanation earlier was that it seems that you're saying that problems in Mindanao of law students are not ventilated, something like that. Are you saying that the problems of law students is regionalistic? The problems of law students in Luzon are different from the problems in Visayas and Mindanao? Is that what you're saying?
Uh, yes, Your Honor, but not entirely, Your Honor. Admittedly, Your Honor, yes, there are problems that are faced by law students in Mindanao and Visayas that are not faced by law students in Luzon, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, our access to the bar examination, Your Honor. Basically, we are located far from Manila, Your Honor, and we are very much thankful with the advent of promoting localized or regional bar examinations, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor, most law schools in Manila, Your Honor, are actually financially capable. That is, they have access to latest books, Your Honor, access to journals, Your Honor. While as in Mindanao or Visayas are sometimes facing problems in procuring books, Your Honor. We do not have sufficiently funded libraries, Your Honor. Another problem, Your Honor, is right now, Your Honor, because of the pandemic, Your Honor, the method of teaching or the learning of law students in Mindanao, Visayas, and in Luzon are very much different. In Luzon, Your Honor, most law schools are attending to their students through synchronous methods, Your Honor, that there is still recitations, Your Honor. But in our case, being located in a far in a remote in an area that has no access to sufficient internet connectivity, we have to attend law school by a synchronous method, Your Honor. That is, our professors would give assigned readings, and then we would have weekly assessments, Your Honor, and we do not have any recitations, and that is a problem faced by us students in Mindanao that has no internet connectivity that is not faced by law students in Manila, Your Honor.
Will you be proposing resumption of face-to-face classes in law schools as soon as possible?
Um, Your Honor, while I understand that legal education should be pursued as it is important in our society, I humbly submit that we only continue with face-to-face classes when we are sure that we are not sacrificing the health of our law students, Your Honor. We could we could adopt other methods, Your Honor, that is effective in educating the law students by not necessarily risking their lives in attending face-to-face classes, Your Honor. Such as, for example, employing synchronous and asynchronous methods, Your Honor. By this way, Your Honor, we are not only ensuring that our law students are learning, but also at the same time we are making sure that they are not exposed to any risk, Your Honor.
But do you agree that face-to-face classes is more effective than online classes?
Personally, Your Honor, and based on the opinions of my fellow law students, yes, face-to-face classes is very much effective and very different from online classes, Your Honor. Number one, Your Honor, is that the mental health of the law students are very much affected because of online classes. We are not familiar with the platform of learning, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor, there is no recitation in our case because we have no sufficient internet connectivity, Your Honor. And because of that, we tend to sometimes become lax in our reading, Your Honor. Finally, Your Honor, as to assessments, Your Honor, in face-to-face classes, we have no choice but to answer the exams, whether we have studied or not. While in asynchronous classes, Your Honor, in online classes, um, the integrity and honesty of the students are tested. Why, Your Honor? Because it is physically impossible to supervise the students whether they are teaching, whether they are cheating or not. In our case, Your Honor, uh, uh, sometimes we have to check our books to
Mhm.
check if we have really understood the question, or sometimes even check the internet or our books to have the good answers, Your Honor. And because of this, um, it law school becomes a matter of merely surviving or merely complying with the requirements in order to attain a law degree and not necessarily to become competent lawyers. And these are problems that are brought about by online learning, which I think is not present in face-to-face classes, Your Honor.
Now, you said that students, in the exercise of their academic freedom, can go out of school and demonstrate, protest outside in the streets against legitimate uh, grievances against the government. Would you be in favor of having face-to-face classes for students who do not want to attend street demonstrations, and then adapt online for those who are very fond of attending street demonstrations? Yung mahilig pumasok, face to face. Yung hindi mahilig pumasok at nagde-demonstrate sa labas, they are equally situated like part-time employees. Nagtatrabaho sila. They are occupied. Online na lang sa kanila. Would that be a practical solution to the problem?
No,
That there
Your
is
Honor.
no disruption. There is no disruption in legal education.
No, Your Honor. I submit that by employing that kind of method of segregating online classes and face classes on the ground that some are not protesting and some are protesting, we are sending a message that when you exercise a legitimate right guaranteed by our fundamental law, there are certain consequences even in your education, Your Honor.
Okay, but
But
my question is, Alex, is when you go out of school and demonstrate, are you still being legally educated? That is why my question, which was kept hanging, is in your perception, is legal education, is academic freedom rather, circumscribed within the confines of the school? Or are law students allowed to exercise academic freedom outside of the school? Now, you said that is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Are they the same? Academic freedom and freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
Your Honor, while they are different, Your Honor, I believe that they are necessarily connected, Your Honor, because when you express what you have learned in school, Your Honor, you are also exercising your freedom of speech and of your expression. But as to the question whether personally I would engage in activism, Your Honor,
No, no, that's my question. There's not. That's not my question. Is there anything wrong about student activism?
I believe, Your Honor, that there is nothing wrong with student activism,
All
morally,
right.
Your Honor,
My
and
last
legally,
two
Your
que-
Honor.
my last two questions. Is it legal and constitutionally permissible for the UST School of Law, it's a Catholic university, to limit the teaching faculty members exclusively to those who are Catholics? Is it constitutionally permissible? Pag sinabi ng UST School of Law, Catholic University lang, ang pwede lang magturo rito are Catholics. Yung mga agnostic saka mga atheists hindi pwede magturo. Is that a violation of the Constitution?
I submit, Your Honor, that while these schools have their academic freedom, which includes their freedom to determine who may teach, Your Honor, when the restraint is unreasonable, Your Honor, and
Is that
abusive, not
unreasonable?
necessary, that may be unconstitutional, Your Honor.
Is that unreasonable?
I
Or
I
let me conversely, can the New Era University in Quezon City, which is run by the Iglesia ni Cristo, adopt a school policy limiting the faculty members exclusively to members of the Iglesia ni Cristo? Is that constitutionally permissible or is that violative of the constitutional provision on academic freedom? That's my last question.
Your Honor, I apologize, but I'm not knowledgeable on that matter. But personally, I submit that it is unconstitutional because the restraint has nothing to do with the religion, Your Honor, unless it could be justified by the doctrine of benevolent neutrality, Your Honor. That is, the exercise of the school is in pursuance of the religion, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much for your time and good luck.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Tiham. The next to interview Mr. Dumpa is Honorable Justice Jose Catrell Mendoza. Your Honor, Justice Mendoza.
Hello?
Justice
Good morning, Your
Mendoza,
Honor.
we can hear you na po.
Hello?
Justice Mendoza, can you hear us po?
You can hear me. Oh, I'm using data. Nag-brown out. Yes, I
We can hear you po,
can
pero
hear
medyo
you.
nag-freeze
I can
lang
hear
po.
you. Oh,
Okay po.
I'm just using data.
Okay po. Nag-freeze lang po yung video nyo, but we can hear you po clearly.
Nag-freeze? What do you mean?
Yung video nyo po, nag-freeze, but we can hear you po.
Okay lang ang video. Importante yung audio.
Okay po.
Okay, thank you. I will just have a few questions because I'm adopting the questions of my colleagues and I am hampered by this brownout. It has affected our Wi-Fi and I'm just using data. I have very few questions. Mr. Dumpa, you're a Muslim?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you a Muslim?
Yes, Your Honor. I am
You're a Muslim. You said if you would be appointed, you would be the first to be a member of the Legal Education Board. Have you studied the Legal Education Board from its creation up to now? The policies they have adopted and the circulars?
Your Honor, I was able to read the Republic Act 7662 or the Legal Education Reform Act and the reason of its creation,
Yes.
reasons behind its creation. But I apologize, Your Honor, but I was not able to research on the activities or programs that are initiated by the Legal Education Board.
Okay. How could you help your fellow Muslims?
Your Honor, I am as I have said before, uh, I have exposed in an environment that helped me to understand the diversity of the diversity of individuals, Your Honor. And I was privileged to acquire the that skills of understanding people of different walks of life, Your Honor. But having a Muslim representative to the Legal Education Board, I humbly submit, is would be very much effective in addressing the concerns and problems that are faced by law students in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, Your Honor. Admittedly, in the entire Philippines, the BARM has the areas that are conflict stricken, Your Honor. And I believe that once we have a student representative
There
coming
are
from,
conflicts. There are conflicts.
yes, Your
There are
Honor.
conflicts. Can
Uh,
you specify?
uh,
Can you specify?
like for example, Your Honor, the attacks in Sulu, Your Honor, the rebellion in some areas of in the
All
southern
the
part of,
physical conflicts. That's what
y-
you're referring to.
yes, Your
The
Honor, and
geological and physical conflicts. Oh,
yes, Your
I
Honor.
thought in the legal education conflict in regarding legal education. Anyway, you proceed. Uh, so I will know where you're. Uh, See what you were about to say. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Okay,
It's okay,
thank you.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. As I was saying, Your Honor, because of these physical conflicts, just like, for example, the Marawi siege, we law students from BARM have witnessed the importance of the rule of law, Your Honor, of having lawyers in these conflict-stricken areas in Mindanao, Your Honor, particularly in BARM. Because of the Marawi siege, we were awakened that most of that there are people who would take the law in their own hands just to get what they want, Your Honor. And by having a student representative that has experienced firsthand these problems in these conflict-stricken areas, Your Honor, we would be able to actually understand deeply the problems and the solutions to these problems, Your Honor.
Hmm. Would you recommend uh, the mandatory inclusion of the study of Sharia law in the law curriculum?
Your Honor, I submit that
Although it's very limited, it's very limited. The Sharia law is with respect to family
yes, Your
and
Honor.
personal relation, no? But
Yes, Your Honor.
would you recommend that?
Yes, Your Honor, I submit that the basic Sharia law courses should be incorporated in the academic programs of law schools in the country, Your Honor, because uh, evidently, um, evidently there are laws in the country that affects exclusively Muslims, Your Honor. For example, Your Honor, the PD 1083. When one is not aware that his clients are actually Muslims, he may err by applying the civil law of the country and not the PD 1083. In one interviews of the Judicial and Bar Council involving Justice Dima Ampao, Your Honor, I have learned that there was actually a case decided by a court um, applying the civil law, which in fact the PD 1083 should be applied because the clients are actually Muslims, Your Honor. The parties are Muslims. And because of lack of sufficient knowledge to the basic Sharia law, Your Honor, there are tendencies that Muslims would actually not have the justice that is the law that is applicable to them, Your Honor. And by incorporating the basic Sharia law courses in the curriculum of law schools, Your Honor, law students are in the entire country are given at least an introduction or the basic understanding of laws that affect Muslims exclusively in southern Philippines, Your Honor.
Well, anyway, you can propose it whether it be an elective or mandatory, but you prefer it to be mandatory.
Your Honor, I submit that it should be elective, Your Honor, but it is ideal to have it
Elective
mandatory
only.
because, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, continue, continue.
I submit, Your Honor, that the that basic Sharia law courses should be incorporated. It could not be it during the first introduction, Your Honor. It could be optional, Your Honor, in order not to really interfere with the curriculum programs of law schools, Your Honor. But the best way to attain the purpose or the objective of making law students in the Philippines aware of the basic Sharia law courses is to make it mandatory as part of the law school's curriculum, Your Honor.
Okay.
In, in, a,
You earlier, okay? Okay. You want to say something?
in a way, Your Honor, the basic Sharia law courses um, are not that lengthy, Your Honor. The PD 1083 only involves persons and family relations of Muslims, Your Honor. It does not involve complicated laws as to procedure, Your Honor.
Okay. Uh, so you would you would want it to be included in the curriculum, but it be covered in the bar examination?
I submit, Your Honor, that it should not be covered by the bar examination.
Although the admission
Uh,
of bar admission is covered by the Supreme Court, is in the area of the Supreme Court, not the LEB
yes,
or
Your
not
Honor.
education.
Yes, Your
But
Honor.
what would be your recommendation?
I
Let
submit
it
your
be a mandatory about the bar. Should it be included
um, Your Honor, it should not be. It should be included, but not as. I humbly
as a
submit,
subject in the bar exam?
not necessarily as a separate subject in the bar exam, but it could be incorporated or it could have a certain percentage in the civil law exam, Your Honor. Because as I have said, the PD 1083 only involves persons and family relations of Muslims, Your Honor. So it could be, it could have a certain percentage in the civil law exam, Your Honor, and not necessarily have a separate subject for the exam, Your Honor.
Justice Mendoza?
Okay. Anyway, there is a yes. Oh, wala.
Okay po, we can hear you na po.
Oh, okay. Anyway, there is a separate Sharia bar, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. You wrote in your one of your answers that the lab should adopt guidelines uh, this designed to see to it that only those who pass the required courses in law.
Justice Mendoza, we can't hear you as of now. Can you hear us po?
School are
Justice Mendoza,
allowed to graduate.
Justice Mendoza, we cannot hear you clearly po.
Kayo, hindi niyo ako nadidinig.
No, sir.
Mr. Dumpa, if you can please stand by, we'll try to get in contact with Justice Mendoza.
Yes, po, yes, po.
Justice? I'm sorry, nawala po ulit ang audio ninyo. Ayan po, Justice. We can hear you. You don't have to turn on na lang po kaya your video. So we can just keep your audio po.
Sige,
Okay
sige.
po.
Sige, sige.
Ayan po. We can hear you po.
And just, did you hear my question, Tony? Mr. Dumpa? Hello?
No, Your Honor, I haven't heard your question. No, Your Honor, I have not heard
You
your
wrote
question.
you wrote that the lab may adopt guidelines designed to see that only those who pass the required courses in law school are allowed to graduate and take the bar. What did you mean when you wrote this?
Um, Your Honor, I was aiming to expound on that, Your Honor, but because of time constraints, I was not able to explain it better. What I was trying to suggest was that the Legal Education Board should adopt strong policies as to making sure that law students actually pass
Hello?
the entire curriculum required to take the bar exams and to employ a unified admission test crafted by the law schools, Your Honor, so that it is not unrestrictive of their academic freedom, unlike the mandatory and exclusionary field set before, Your Honor.
Uh, you are suggesting that the left can only issue guidelines, but they cannot control the school as to who can graduate and take the bar.
Uh, yes, Your Honor, because of the academic freedom of these schools, Your Honor, the lab cannot mandate that these schools um, cannot mandate these schools in determining who may be admitted by them, who may be conferred of the programs offered by these schools, and who what to teach in these schools, Your Honor, except that the lab um, can adopt guidelines that could improve the legal education by not necessarily uh, restricting the academic freedom enjoyed by these schools, Your Honor. For example, Your Honor, as I have said, the creation of a unified, standardized, and acceptable law school admission test through the crafted by the Philippine Association of Law Schools. Because when these exams are crafted by the Philippine Association of Law Schools or the law schools themselves, it is not restrictive of their academic freedom, unlike the PhilStat before, which used to be mandatory and exclusionary, Your Honor.
Okay, that will be all. Thank you very much, Mr. Dumpa.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Uh,
Okay, that ends the public interview of Mr. Alexander D. Dumpa. Thank you, Mr. Dumpa, and good luck on your application. Thank you,
Thank you po,
Honorable
ma'am.
Catral Mendoza. Jose Catral Mendoza. The next to be interviewed is Miss Patricia Rose Angelo S. Hidalgo. And she is applying for the position of LEB regular member as representative of the law students sector. The first to interview Mr. Hidalgo is the Honorable Judge Franklin D. De Monteverde. J. De Monteverde.
Good morning,
Your,
Your
Thank
Your
you.
Honor, good morning.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Miss Hidalgo. Miss or Mrs.?
Miss po.
Miss pa. Oo. How shall I call you? Patricia, Rose, or Angelo?
You can
Tatlo
call
yan.
Pat, Your
Ah,
Honor. Pat.
Ano?
Pat
Pat.
po.
Okay. Sige, Pat. Where are you taking up your law course?
I'm currently enrolled, Your Honor, at San Beda College, Alabang.
Alabang, and when will you graduate?
I'm expecting to graduate in 2023, Your Honor. I'm currently,
2023 pa.
yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
2023. Okay. Let's go directly to your medical records. You were certified to be fit. I don't know what describes this, your medical situation or your mental or your physical. However, I would say that it is a certification that you are medically fit because it shows that you have leukocytes, three positives urinalysis. What is this? Are you not bothered with this?
Um, Your Honor, um, when it was explained to me, they said that the doctor that told me, that explained the findings to me, it may have been due to the gathering of the specimen, Your Honor, because it wasn't explained to me how to properly gather it. So there were the possible reasons for the leukocytes I was told was maybe because of the wrong gathering of the specimen. I was told it
You
should
mean
be
the specimen
the urine, Your
were
Honor.
were were what?
The urine, Your Honor.
Exchange,
No,
exchange,
Your
or
Honor.
no?
They told me it may be because when you're supposed to gather specimen for urinalysis, it's supposed to be midstream. And
Okay.
I wasn't instructed that. I just took the specimen as is,
Ah,
Your Honor. And another advice to me was maybe because I was dehydrated. It may be also that. So I explained to the doctor that I consume a lot of coffee, Your Honor, and sometimes
okay.
I forget to drink water.
Okay. On your electrocardiogram, you have sinus arrhythmia. What is this?
I
Sa heart mo ito, electrocardiogram.
I really don't
You
know.
don't know
It was
anything
not
about this.
explained, Your Honor, to me.
You
Um,
might fall dead anytime.
oh no, Your Honor. I believe I'm perfectly fit naman po. I
Okay.
think, Your Honor, it
Okay,
may
Pat.
yes.
Let's veer away from your medical certificate. What are your personal and professional credentials which you think are worthy of mention in relation to your application?
Your Honor, the I'm currently a psychometrician, Your Honor, at San Beda College, Alabang. And my work right now is I'm the one um, assigned in the admissions applications for law students and graduate school students for San Beda College, Alabang. Before the pandemic, Your Honor, I was the psychometrician assigned in administering the exams. So, other than being a law student and actually having the experience to apply for law school, my job necessarily um, my job necessarily makes me deal with applicants for law school. Aside from that, Your Honor, I was the former Secretary General for the Association of Law Students of the Philippines. Um, and during that time, I was one of the lead conveners of
You
organizing.
are the former Secretary General.
Yes, Your Honor. I
Your
served.
record shows that you is still the Secretary General because it says here that you are one from 2018 to present.
Yes, Your Honor. Our convention where the election of officers occurred, which changed the whole officers, happened in November. I submitted my requirements before
Last
that.
November lang.
Yes, Your Honor. So
Okay, sige.
I just ended my term last November.
Okay. You
And then,
started your law course sa UST.
yes, Your Honor.
You stayed there for 2 years, but then you transferred to the San Beda in Alabang.
Yes, Your Honor. I only stayed there for a
Why?
year and a half, Your Honor. I took a leave of absence after my second year, first semester. Due to personal reasons, Your Honor, at that time, I thought I didn't want to pursue law
You
anymore.
didn't like UST, but you preferred. to be in San Beda?
Maybe. Maybe, Your Honor.
I got you. Okay, Pat. You are currently working as a psychometrician, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the same time studying.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't you rather find this very burdensome on your part, juggling from one job to another?
Um, well, Your Honor, it's not easy, but I always tell myself it pays for my books, it pays for my internet access, and without the job that I have now, I wouldn't be able to study with comfort. Well, law school is difficult in itself already, so I'd rather have a job with me that allows me to get resources for law school that I need rather than um, being with my parents. They're the ones paying for my tuition, but I'm the one shouldering all the expenses. Rather than staying at home and I don't have that freedom to ask for the resources that I need for law school. So I never saw my job as a burden for law school because it actually helps me to finish it properly.
Okay, on the assumption that you will be appointed,
Yes, Your Honor.
would you rather find this to be a further burden on your part?
No, Your Honor.
This, no, because then you
Uh,
will have three tasks to attend to.
no, Your Honor. Because I applied for the position of the law student sector representative
Mhm.
um, already with the experience, Your Honor, that when I was in the ALSP, Association for Law Students of the Philippines, um, representing the law students was one of the things that we had to primarily do. So when we were in dialogues with LED, we would represent them. We would take all their suggestions, all their recommendations and grievances, and put it into data that we can present to LED. So I don't think, Your Honor, it would be a more burden. I'm not saying that it would be easy also, but I'm saying that I've already had the experience of representing the students in the same sector while being a student myself and while also working as a psychometrician.
Okay. As a psychometrician,
Yes, Your Honor.
how do you see the importance and integration of problems related to the mental health of students into the law curriculum? How would you like to advocate for this kind of program should you be appointed? And how
Your,
will you do it? And how will you do it?
Your Honor, it is very important for me. I would just like to share that this advocacy actually is the very reason why I was introduced to the LED and why I became close with it. 2 years
Okay.
ago, when we attended a conference, Your Honor, we had a dialogue with them, the commissioners and even the student representative herself. And I raised this issue about mental health and guidance counselors in schools because in college, this was already my advocacy. So it was one of the reasons why um, I wouldn't want to make it na it would seem that it was because of me, but it was one of the reasons why we were able to have this conversation. And in the following years, we implemented programs. The LED with the ALSP was able to produce programs that focused on mental health. Last year, Your Honor, in July, we had a conference on the mental health program for the law students. That's one of the programs initiated by the LED, and I was actually the moderator, Your Honor. So my task for that program, Your Honor, was to talk with the participants, the delegates, and get all the questions that they have and take it into a conversation so that they can learn more from our experts, our psychiatrists, our commissioners, and what are their thoughts. If
Okay.
this, um,
So, what then are your long term and
yes,
short term plans for the Legal Education Board? Cite at
um,
least the three
yeah.
plans or projects that you have in mind.
Your Honor, the primary project or program that I want to develop as a representative is to strengthen a communication line um, from the LEB with the law students. So I believe, Your Honor, right now, the LEB's contact with the with the school is with the deans, but they don't have a direct communication line from LEB going to the student council. In my experience, Your Honor, they usually go to us, the ALSP. So I think it would be better if the LEB has a direct contact also as well, a direct contact as well with the law students. That would be my primary program. That I would like to have. The second would be to establish a data gathering mechanism, Your Honor, because I think a lot of the problems that the LEB has encountered in the past, like the questions on PhilSat, um, the questions on the power of the LEB in terms of policy or what kind of policies they have. I think one of the problems that it had was there was not enough data gathering and research um, in the agency directed towards the students. So I've been a student of the law for the past 3, 4 years, and I've never actually answered a survey that asks me how I evaluate my school, how I think the standards are. And I think that's
Make it
very
brief,
important.
Pat. Make it brief.
And lastly, the other program that I would want to have is to strengthen the existing mental health program that the current commissioner has already started. So we would offer alternative classes to promote mental health and alternative opportunities for students where they could they could practice more things other than what they study in the law.
Okay, Pat. Now, the DND-UP Accord requires that prior notice be given by the AFP intending to conduct military or police operations in any of the UP campuses to the university president, the chancellor, or the dean of the regional units concerned, or their respective officers in charge in the event of their absence. Now, for academic discussion, do you think the agreement violates the rules of court, since the rule does not require that prior notice be given before a warrant may validly be implemented? On the other hand, was it in violation of the Equal Protection Clause?
Your Honor, I think to strictly interpret the letters of the law, it does not violate the rules of court. If it was not explicitly cited that it is a requirement. However, in connection to the second question, if it is not required, in connection to the second question, um, we need to take into consideration the premise of why that agreement was started in the first place. So,
No, it's not a question of what started it or who started it, but is it within the academic freedom that warrants of arrest issued by courts cannot be implemented fully inside the campus without asking permission from the president, the chancellor, or any of the officers in charge?
I believe, Your Honor, it is not within the academic freedom, presuming that the exercise, of course, of the issuance of warrant of arrests are valid and well within the powers of the state. So it's within the rights of the individuals, which at the
Okay.
same time, if it is within that right, it does not encroach upon the academic freedom of the institution.
Okay, Pat. In a statement issued last week, CHED Chair J. Prospero de Vera said that the Commission is set to convene experts to define academic freedom as rights groups and lawmakers raise concerns of increased police and military operations in UP and other schools. Question: is this a valid action by the CHED, considering that the Supreme Court in various cases already discussed the concept and parameters of academic freedom? Your answer.
I think, Your Honor, it is well within their power as long as, Your Honor, they
Whose
exercise
power?
SHED. It is
SHED.
within the authority of SHED as long as whatever the proceedings or the outcomes of the committee that they make create only certain standards for regulation and supervision and not necessarily control that can encroach upon the academic freedom of institutions.
You said that it is within the power of CHED, but will such power of the CHED be subservient to the warrants of arrest issued by the courts, or shall it prevail over the legal actions?
No, Your Honor. I think it should not prevail over the legal actions because again, the Supreme Court has discussed that the power of CHED and the educational arms of the government should be supervisory and regulatory and not encroach on the power of the state again in terms of its right to exercise its police power in, for example, issuing warrants of arrest for violations. So there has to be, they need to understand that there are rules that they can't go over with as an
Who needs to
exercise.
understand?
CHED, Your Honor. CHED or
Okay.
academic institutions.
Mhm.
They need to understand that there are rules that they can't encroach upon or they can no longer go over. Being that, for example, it's the valid exercise of the government of its police power. It will be over and above their exercise of academic freedom.
So the dialogue itself will only confine itself to how the warrant of arrest can
Yes,
be served.
Your Honor.
That's
Yes,
it.
Your Honor.
Okay. Amid the criticism that limits military and police access to UP, a lawmaker filed a bill to declare which sets all state or universities and campuses as freedom spaces where academic freedom is guaranteed. Is this constitutional? Why or why not?
Um, I believe, Your Honor, it is constitutional, but then again, it has to be subject to some regulations of the state. That is, it's it if it does not go beyond the exercise. If these freedom spaces would allow students to exercise their rights, it should be well within their limitations within provided in the Bill of Rights and as provided by jurisprudence. So it's allowed, it can be allowed, provided however that the exercise of the freedoms in these freedom spaces is well within the limits of the law.
Okay, Pat. There are two main views when it comes to academic freedom. And for your benefit, the first main view is from the standpoint of the educational institution, while the other one is from the standpoint of the members of the academe. Explain.
For the standpoint of those in the medical institution, I think it's more of
Medical,
Your Honor.
from the standpoint of the educational institution.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The educational institution, it focuses more on the de facto roles of the institution in terms of admissions, its exercise, with its management, of how the school is run, and other administrative acts that it has as a school. It has that freedom as provided by the academic freedom, as with its academic freedom. While on the other hand, academic freedom for those in the academe is more of a freedom from interference for the application of the methods that they want to use, the philosophies that they want to subscribe in how they want to teach and impart knowledge with their students. So those are different things, but both well within academic freedoms of
Okay. Can you still remember what the court ruling as enunciated in Miriam College Foundation versus Court of Appeals, GR number 127930, November 5, 2000, on
I
this point?
um I'm not sure, Your Honor. I
You
can't
spoke of it
remember.
in part.
Um, I'm not sure, Your Honor, if that was the specific case that I remember.
The ruling, it was held that if the school has the freedom to determine whom to admit, logic dictates that it also has the right to determine whom to exclude or expel, as well as to impose lesser sanctions, such as suspension. Okay. Now, a UST senior high school student was recently penalized with non-readmission for the next academic year to the university after admitting openly through Facebook post that he was a member of a leftist youth organization not recognized by the university. The student mentioned that he was a member of the Anak Bayan UST SHS in a Facebook post in November, where he advocated for an academic ease as typhoons Rolly and Ulysses battered the country. What is your opinion on this?
I would say, Your Honor, in disclosure that I don't know necessarily all the facts. And I was also
Okay, okay. Just the
yes, Your
facts
Honor.
that I gave
Yes,
you.
Your Honor. I and also
This is the question. Was the decision of the university considered part of its academic freedom as a private academic institution?
I believe, Your Honor, that it is. I was a student leader
Expound
and
further.
I experienced this kind of situation while I was in undergraduate, Your Honor. Um, I can't say why. I can't say specifically if he violated something from the handbook, but I believe, Your Honor, that he may have been sanctioned in violation of a rule that is well within the power of the academic freedom of the school. Not necessarily, Your Honor, just because, well, as how media puts it, just because he is a member of this organization. There are a lot of rules that schools lay down in connection to these kinds of situations. I can't really tell, Your Honor, but it may be that he committed a violation, for example, in the proper grievance expression of grievance for students, or the organization had a bad experience with the school, which really put them on the list as the school tagged as the organization tagged as those that are not allowed to be recognized by the school. There are those circumstances. But based on the facts that you told me, Your Honor, I believe it's within the academic freedom if the student actually violated something related to his Facebook post. So, in all
Oh,
considerations,
he was admitting that he was a member of a leftist youth organization not recognized by the university.
yes, Your Honor. And
Did that violate academic freedom?
no, Your Honor, I don't think so because um, I think universities like that they don't really decide on that on a whim. They have a lot of um, people who they consult this with. They have a handbook and they are also advised by lawyers that it's within their right, their administrative right to do so. So I believe, Your Honor,
Remember,
may not
the
be
question
yes.
was the decision of the university considered part of its academic freedom as a private academic institution? not at the academic freedom on the standpoint of the students.
Sorry, I apologize, Your Honor. Um, yes, I think it is well within the academic freedom of the institution because part of the academic freedom of the institution, whether as uh, as an administration or as an institution, it has a right to um, to set a certain standard or requirements for its students. And as an administrative body, UST has that right to prescribe the type of organizations or the type of clubs or the type of activities that the students are suggested to be part of and not a part of. So, going back to the ruling of, as you have discussed earlier in the case of Miriam College, it has a right to admit students. It also has that right to make standards of who to exclude from admission or who to exclude as part of its student body.
So, how did the university's decision on non readmission affect the constitutionally protected right of free expression of the student? Student naman ito.
Um, I believe, Your Honor, although that student is entitled to that right of freedom of expression, he should have also been aware that he is subject to the rules and regulations of the student at the time that he was enrolled in the university. So as much as and the exercise of the university of its right to academic freedom, I believe is well within non-violation of the Bill of Rights of students. And I'm not entirely sure, Your Honor, but there was a particular ruling that in administrative cases, I believe, they have the power to they have the right to promulgate the rules on who they admit. So even if yes, the student has that right to freedom to express himself, his right as a student had limitations because he was enrolled in a university that had strict sanctions and responsibilities.
So, according to jurisprudence, what are the minimum standards of procedural due process that must be satisfied before academic institutions could impose disciplinary sanctions on students?
I
The
believe
minimum standards of procedural due process was enunciated by the Supreme Court in Guzman versus National University.
I apologize, Your Honor. I don't think I have read that case.
You have not read the case?
No, Your Honor. But
Oh.
I think procedural due process was also discussed, Your Honor, in the case of, I think it was Ateneo, the
Mhm.
case of Ateneo, in the case regarding the non-readmission of students who were subjected to a certain organization. It was important that there was notice, and they were afforded the right to be heard. But when these things are given to the students, it does not necessarily mean that if the student was not able to follow the guidelines provided by the school, he was not afforded of due process. It's enough that he was informed that there is a case against him and that his opinion would be is needed to be heard. But if he decides to waive his right on that or present his case against it, the school or the university can make a decision within its limits.
Now, is it considered a violation of academic freedom if, for example, the PRC issues a resolution prohibiting examinees for licensure examinations from attending any review class, briefing, conference, or the like, or to receive any handouts, review materials, or any tip from any school?
No, Your Honor. It is. Oh, sorry, Your Honor. Your question is whether
Is it considered a violation of academic freedom?
Yes, Your Honor. It was discussed in the case. I forgot the title, Your Honor, but it was mentioned in.
Oh, what was the case about?
It was for the PRC exams. It was for the licensure examinations for accountants. Um, that the school fought for their right, that was well within their academic freedom, to have students attend a review class that's embedded already in their curriculum. So the PRC said that it was not, they did not allow that exercise, but the court held that taking those measures or having those other programs that would help the student pass the licensure exam and become accountants in the future was well within the academic freedom of the school, which is why imposing a sanction against it was should is a violation of their right. So PRC was wrong.
Can you not remember the case?
Uh, so no, Your Honor. I just remember that it was emphasized also in the Pimentel versus.
Lupanco versus Court of Appeals. 160 scrap 848. Incidentally, should you ever be appointed
Yes, Your Honor.
to the LED as a regular member representing the law student sector, are there going to be some reforms that you will be introducing it to the legal education? If so, what are those reforms that you have in mind?
Yes, Your Honor. What I have in mind is on the policy of admissions, because of my experience as part of the admissions in San Beda. I believe, Your Honor, affirming the decision of the court, Pimentel versus LEB, that the LEB should make a set of standards, not a pass or fail qualification for the admission. So if ever given the chance to become a law student sector representative, I would contribute my knowledge in psychology and psychometrics into creating the standard, the requirements, the set of requirements, and not the single requirement of the exam. And
What are those requirements you have in mind?
I think, Your Honor, that the school should have an essay, which is something that they didn't require for the PhilSat. An essay that judges not just the competency in terms of verbal comprehension and reading comprehension, but also how they present their ideas, because that's a very important thing, that a skill that you need to have in law school, how you present your ideas in terms of words. And there also needs to be a standard in considering the grades that they had in college, although. And then one of the standards, coupled with all of these factors, would be the PhilSat, which, if not really a requirement as a pass or fail test, it should be part of the standards that should be considered, since it's an aptitude test that is only a part of what we want to measure from the students. And then those are the standards that I want to suggest. But there's also a leeway, providing that the admission requirements that we have from LEB is just the bare minimum. The school can also impose on other requirements that they wish to have, which is, for example, something that they require as part of the requirements as an institution. Like, for example, like in my school, for example, we're required to we're I we're required to take another test, which is administered by the admissions office. It's a different type of aptitude test, but there's also a subtest for psychology. So we can also have that, Your Honor.
Okay, my last question. one of the powers of the board is to adopt a system of continuing legal education.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is in conflict with the Supreme Court's mandatory continuing legal education. What is your take on this?
Your Honor, as it was decided in the case against the Legal Education Board, it was a direct encroachment on the power of the judiciary to have rules, to promulgate rules for those practicing the law. So, the Supreme Court clearly explained that legal education in the sense of LEB should be focused for on those students, on those individuals who are not yet members of the bar. Once they pass the bar exams, um, and once they become lawyers, their education is supervised and regulated, or at least promoted by the members of the Supreme Court. So I think, as it was ruled in that case, it shouldn't be construed as part of that powers. I believe, Your Honor, they raised this before. The problem is that the RA 7662 hasn't been amended yet. That's why there's still the confusion with a lot of people, because we don't have that paper to rely on yet, aside from the latest decision of the court.
Okay, that being said, what will you do about it?
If ever given the chance, Your Honor, I would ask and really push for the amendment of the law. Um, I would make it one of the things that I would.
Amendment or revocation or deletion?
They already provided, Your Honor, I think, through a circular, the interpretation of this, and they really deleted the part clinical legal education, continuing legal education, sorry, and the part
Not
where.
clinical, ha?
Yes, Your Honor, that's different po. um, they already deleted that part, and also, on the part of the mandate, they also deleted the part that LEB covers practicing lawyers. So, I'm not sure why they haven't submitted it to Congress yet for amendment. So, if ever given the chance, Your Honor, I would at least assure you, Your Honor, that I would do my part to have it amended or changed.
Okay, Pat, that was my last question. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Judge De
Thank you.
Monteverde.
Thank you.
Okay, the next to interview Ms. Hidalgo is the Honorable Justice Noel Jimenez Tija.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Good
Your Honor.
morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning. You, Judge De Monteverde, covered a lot of subject. There is a Magna Carta for students. Is there a Magna Carta for law students?
There is, Your Honor, but I don't think it's done yet. It's still with the technical working group, and I believe, Your Honor, I think this month they had a lot of meetings, and they're still in consultation with the students, on certain provisions, Your Honor, and it's not done yet.
What are the urgent, most important features of that Magna Carta for law students?
As a disclaimer, Your Honor, I didn't really participate in the technical working group, but years ago.
From your perspective,
Yes, Your Honor.
what do you think should be foremost in that Magna Carta for law students?
I think, Your Honor, it would be the exercise, Your Honor, of the fairness of the professor, um, to the students. I remember, Your Honor, just to share.
Humane treatment?
Yes,
Humane
Your Honor.
treatment of law students? Is that what you're
Your Honor, you're laughing. It means you understand.
Now, there is also a Magna Carta for public school teachers. It's now a law.
Yes,
And
Your
there is a Magna Carta for private school teachers, but I don't know if it has been enacted into a law, do you think there's a need for a Magna Carta for teachers or professors in law schools?
Yes, Your Honor.
There
Because
should be.
uh, because of fairness and equity, they should also have that, Your Honor.
Now, you have been extensively involved in student affairs. In 2018, you were with the Philippine Women's University Alumni Relations Office. You have been involved as a governor for National Capital Region for the Association of Law Students. And since last year, up to the present, you are the Secretary General, but you said your term expired
Yes,
already.
Your Honor.
What is the principal advocacy of the Association of Law Students of the Philippines?
Your Honor, our principal advocacy is to form the network of law students, um, to provide a connection for the law students within the law student community and within members of the legal profession already. So we use this platform, Your Honor, for the students to be engaged with other students, to learn from them as well, because I think we all believe that the learning in the legal profession is not confined in the classroom in your own pace of study, but you also have to be exposed to other law students who have other opinions that they want to discuss, and you have to be exposed as well to agencies of the government. You have to be exposed to other sectors in our community, and that the ALSP provides this network for the law students.
Are there other law student organizations in the Philippines? And to the best of your recollection, how many are they?
I don't think, Your Honor, there is an organization as big as ours, because the
Okay. So
ALSP,
how many members do you have?
Your Honor, we are counted by the number of schools.
Oh,
So and then we are it's something in the constitution that we are the membership is counted by those who submit themselves for membership. But I've always believed, Your Honor, that all law students should be a member, not in the strict sense, but a member and should benefit from the ALSP. So I think,
will
Your Honor,
you how will you gather or monitor demands of law students in the field of legal education reforms to make it more inclusive? How will you do it?
Your Honor, I really believe in data gathering and survey. So with the advent of technology that we have Google Forms, and we have almost all of the law students have emails and they're responsive to calls and texts. It would take extra effort, but it's effort that I'm willing to do to contact law students who are not within the reach of, for example, the social media of the LEB right now, and to contact them and to ask for their opinions and their to consult them, so that what we try to put out for them is as inclusive as it can be, so that we can consider all their recommendations and suggestions.
Now, your organization, Association of Law Students, have you come out with a handbook or a manual for law students with respect to certain ideas or precepts on their rights and obligations?
No, Your Honor. It has
I mean,
when
law schools, they have their own student manual, correct?
yes, Your Honor.
And handbook, enunciating the school policies with
Yes.
respect to probably law students. But if you have an association of law students, do you think the problems of law students nationwide is common, or it does it differ by regions from your experience and observation?
Your Honor, for the first question, we don't have that set of rules yet for rights. I think because when we started to have this conversation on putting those rights into a bill, for example, or something in writing already, we were already in connection with the LED, and at that time they already started with the Magna Carta of the student rights. So the ALSP has been working with the LED law student representative into formalizing and crystallizing these rights. That's why I think we never attempted to have one because we relied on that. On the next question, Your Honor, yes, I believe that um, the problems of the law students are very different. Um,
How
not just
how different
um,
regions?
I think, Your Honor, it's not just in terms of geography. Like I think your question earlier was, do I think the problems of those from Luzon are different from the problems from those in Mindanao? Yes, Your Honor, they differ a lot, but there are also differences in problems in the types of students that we have. So the problems of working students are different from those who are full-time students. The problems of those with families are different from those who entered law school after graduating college. So
You know,
in yes, Your Honor.
are students outside of the national capital region more handicapped than law students in the national capital region? And before you answer that question, how do you explain the fact that recently, in the recent years, many bar top notchers came from schools outside of the national capital region?
Um, Your Honor, I personally, Your Honor, I never saw the differences in geography as or the differences in schools per se as the barriers to the opportunities to law school, because we're all equipped with almost all law schools have judges in their faculties,
And
have
internet,
and in
yes,
and yes, Your
legal
Honor,
research. Legal research is
is
available
easier.
to anybody
Yes, Your Honor.
compared to us when we were in law school more than 40 years ago.
Yes,
There was
Your Honor. So
internet.
I really believe that all law schools have the opportunity, have the good opportunity well within their school. There are certain aspects, however, that they are a bit handicapped. Like for example, Your Honor, years ago when we had the traditional bar exams, bar operations would be more difficult for students who would come from the provinces because of the transportation and of course the support compared to like for us, if I'm from Manila, most of my friends would be waiting outside. I would have my family wait outside, but then for them it's different. And for example, the opportunities for internship, for example, I'm not saying that uh, it's 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 a sort of disadvantage because a lot of our high courts where students would want to have their internships are located in Metro Manila. So they would have to make a choice if they transfer to Manila and review here so that they can intern, for example, in OSG, in for example, if JBC is accepting interns, if they want to intern there, they have to move here, and that's a disadvantage on their end. But in terms of learning, Your Honor, I don't believe that they're disadvantaged because all the law students, all the law schools have their own set of great professors and faculty that really would be a disadvantage on other schools because we don't have them, for example.
Now,
Um,
uh, with the advent of the vaccine against COVID-19, would you be in favor as a member of the LEB for the resumption of face-to-face classes in law schools, probably in the third or last quarter of this year? And
um,
is it important for face-to-face classes?
yes, Your Honor, I am in favor. However, I want to I want to emphasize that I think um, they should resume, but also offer online classes as well, in conjunction to the face-to-face classes, because because I think it would be disadvantageous for a lot of students who would be required to take the vaccine, even if they have the resource, but personally they believe that they can't take it. It would be unfair to subject them to this requirement if they can study law as we've been doing for the past years. The past year, they can study law online. But I think, Your Honor, in an educational perspective, the face-to-face classes is very important. Yes, Your Honor. I think one of the things I really missed, and a lot of students really missed, is having a library.
So supposing the vaccine is available for free, can law schools adopt a policy to prohibit the admission of law students who do not have themselves vaccinated? Supposing the vaccine is available for free, is it permissible for a school to adopt a policy to prohibit the admission of a student who has not been vaccinated or who refuses to be vaccinated?
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's within the power and the right of the school. Actually, Your Honor, for younger students, it's already required that they complete their baby book. It's part of the admissions process because it's
Maybe
something. Yes, Your Honor.
for law
The
students,
No,
their
no,
baby,
I mean, Your Honor, in
ah,
analogy, we can apply that it's already something that's implemented in schools because they believe that um, the physical the physical requirements of the students are also important as the academic requirements of the student. So if the
talking about admissions of law students,
yes, Your Honor.
do you think it's important to not only to look into the academic records of a student applying for law school, but you should look as well into his physical and mental health? You're a psychometrician. Do you think these are important?
Yes, Your Honor. I do think that those are important things. But I'm not saying it as a very uh, I'm
Schools
saying
are not
that
very, they're not very particular
yes, Your
about,
Honor. I think it's important that we are particular, but we also have to make further studies with them. Why, Your Honor? For example, in terms of physical conditions, um, if our admissions policy would be very permissive, that we don't take these things into consideration, um, the student would be subject to a lot of burden if it doesn't tell the student during admissions that okay, we can admit you, we acknowledge that you have physical disabilities, for example, or physical problems, for example, but you have to understand that once you have these problems, the school can't help you.
but more
So
important is mental health, correct?
yes, Your Honor.
If a student is mentally unstable and
Yes,
you
Your Honor.
subject him to the pressures, the
Yes,
rigors of law school, he or she might have a mental breakdown. Correct? So that's important.
yes, Your Honor.
What about admission of law professors? Should physical and mental health be considered as well?
Um, it should be considered, Your Honor, but I don't think it's an end and all
It's okay.
requirement for
It's
them.
okay to have a law professor who is unstable mentally.
I think, Your Honor, again, it's just a consideration because the the bulk of the consideration in choosing a law professor would be his experience and would be the knowledge in legal profession that he can impart in the students. If there are professors, for example, that would be unstable, I think, Your Honor, the school
Is
would.
it okay? Is it okay for law professors to terrorize law students because they are mentally unstable? In
Oh
your
no, Your
in
Honor.
your opinion?
No, Your Honor. If it's based on their mental condition, I think that there should be a way for the school to identify it. If it's really scientifically proven that they have this problem, let's say for example, a professor is actually diagnosed bipolar, that would be detrimental to the right of the student to actually learn from him properly. Um, and it would also be a problem for the professor because he would be experiencing a lot of problems for from the school, from the students, from the expectations of the students, and it's something that should be important. It should be considered. But if you're asking, Your Honor, if it's okay to terrorize, I think, Your Honor, some professors, they have a philosophy with the way they teach. So some professors, they're very strict. They could be
They used to be butchers and gladiators in the past. Correct? Now, my other question is, hypothetically, law students are entitled to good quality legal education, correct?
yes,
Not
Your
hypothetically, I mean
Yes.
practically.
Yes,
It's a mandate of the law, a mandate of the Constitution. Now, but hypothetically, are law students entitled to a refund of tuition fees if the professors are incompetent? Hypothetically, they did not get quality legal education because either the law professors were fond of being absent, they were not teaching, they were just conducting recitations, or they were incompetent. Hypothetically, should they be entitled to a refund of tuition fees?
I don't think, Your Honor, totally, no, Your Honor. Because, well, in an administrative perspective, a tuition fee
So
is,
that's an occupational risk students have to suffer.
no, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. Um, I would explain that the tuition fee is not necessarily just rooted from one professor. It's an assessment of the totality of things that you have to pay for when you enter school. And a certain professor is just one of them. And I believe, Your Honor, that there are when you enter or when you enroll, there are certain rights for the students that they can express to their administration, that they can report, and some have successfully in the past reported professors that didn't teach in their class, that was always absent, and their administration was supportive enough to afford them with, for example, they changed the professors ahead of time, or they offered special classes if it would be possible for those students who think that they didn't learn that much from the professor who did not attend class all the time.
Okay, now my last question is on academic freedom. We all of the members of the JBC asked the applicants about academic freedom. Uh, is it confined within the school? Uh, the school has academic freedom, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But outside of the school, does it still have academic freedom? I'm talking of the school as an institution. Does it still have academic freedom outside?
No, Your Honor.
Now, the law professor has academic freedom inside the school, correct? He can
Yes.
teach uh, his beliefs. His ideas might be contrary to customary or normal conduct, but you cannot assail him because of academic freedom. Now, if a law professor goes out and make a public speech outside, is that still an exercise of academic freedom? He
No,
was
Your
invited by the Rotary Club of Manila or of Alabang. Then he speaks about the constitutionality of abortion, for example. Is that still an exercise of academic freedom? When you say academic freedom, his freedom as a member of the academe, as a member of that school, is that still an exercise of academic freedom?
I don't think so, Your Honor. No, no, Your
Because
Honor.
there are even jurisprudence that if a professor goes out of the school and says something contrary to the ideals and the precepts adopted by the school, he is in effect saying it in his personal capacity. So that is no longer academic freedom, but his freedom of speech, of like expression as a citizen. Now, going back to a student, academic freedom inside the school, outside of the school, when you protest, when a student participates in street demonstration to redress legitimate grievances against government, is that an exercise of academic freedom or an exercise of the freedom of speech or expression?
It would be the latter, Your Honor.
It will be the
Yes, Your Honor. If there were circumstances, for example, unless, Your Honor, it would be a case where the street demonstration was sanctioned by the school, like for example in history.
do
No,
school
no, Your Honor.
street demonstration?
No, I mean what I mean, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Like they recognize it and they allow it because yes, in history some of the schools have allowed and do know that their students
So
are
when
potentially
schools say, tell the law student, oh, you can now go out. Okay, you can cut classes, participate. That's academic freedom. That's what you're saying.
not necessarily, Your Honor, because it may be that it's just the professor's opinion that he suggests that, but it's
That is
not.
my last question. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice Tiham. The next to interview Ms. Hidalgo is none other than the Honorable Judge Toribio E. Ilaw Jr.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Edith,
Good morning, Your
introducing
Honor.
me as, introducing me as none other than right.
The best. The
Yes,
best
still.
ever.
Thank you, Edith. Yes, and Miss Hidalgo, or afternoon.
Good
It's
afternoon, Your
exactly
Honor.
12 o'clock. Okay, good afternoon. Patricia Rose Angelo Solis Hidalgo. Hidalgo,
Yes, Your Honor.
any relation to the person or personality with whom the street where MLQU or the Malakyu is situated, Hidalgo, Hidalgo Street?
No, Your Honor. No, I don't think so, Your Honor.
Have you ever studied or Google from whom did the Hidalgo Street came from? And who is that Hidalgo?
I'm not
Maybe a
sure.
Spanish one, a
I'm
Spaniard.
not sure, Your Honor.
And what's your story, Miss Hidalgo, including your love story? If I any love story, you
No, Your
started
Honor.
your school at what's this States Field
Yes, Your
Elementary?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
What's this? An international school?
No, Your Honor. It's a non-sectarian school, but I
What
think
do you mean by what do you mean by non-sectarian school?
we're non-Catholic. Yeah,
Non-Catholic.
I think that's the word that they use, Your Honor, when we're schools. We're not public school. We're a private school, but we're not Catholic. We're not a Catholic school.
Not Catholic, because outside Catholic is Protestant. Am I correct?
No, Your Honor. It's not that it's a Protestant school. It's not run by any diocese aligned with any diocese or any religious sect. We're run by a group of a board members who are uh, professionals in the educational sector. So I think that's why we have a foreign sounding name because the owner of our school and our former principal, they studied abroad, and a lot of the philosophies that we had in our school were patterned from foreign educational theories, stuff like that.
State Fields. Where is this located at?
It's in Molino, sir. Baco or
Um,
Cavite.
Molino. Sorry for my ignorance. Hindi ko nag-google. So, syonga-syonga ako. Even the secondary one, the high school, State Field School
Yes, Your
Incorporated,
Honor.
you obtain your high school diploma. All right. What interested you in taking up Bachelor of Science Psychology? Because you took up advertising arts, then shifted to psychology.
Yes, Your Honor. Um, I was very interested, Your Honor, when I was young. I was very interested in forensic psychology. I watched a lot of crime scene shows when I was young, and it was my
Hey,
interest. When I entered college, Your Honor, it was a very I can't remember why, but it was a very unexpected decision to take
all
up.
right. How many years did you spend in taking up advertising arts?
Um, I I spent 2 years, Your Honor, because at the first year, Your Honor, when I inquired how to shift, the policy in schools now is different from as it was before. I thought that it would be the same, like when you enter first year, you all have general education subjects, and you can shift. When I expressed my intention to shift, they had a requirement that you have at least to have 2 years of residency in the university for them to accept you in the College of Science in Psychology, where psychology was. So I stayed for 2 years to get that, and finally decided to shift.
So it's really quite different taking up advertising arts, then shifted to psychology. And according to you, it interests you because of crime scenes.
Yes, sir.
Just the the recent one, the Christine Dacera's alleged scandal.
Um, I think, Your Honor, because I went to law school already, my perspective has been very different now. Then I was just interested in how the science works. It was very interesting to watch. But now, that I've already taken some courses in law, and I've had experiences in, well, I've matured, Your Honor, I think. um, my interest in crime scenes is not as it was before. So I'm more on now on, if it's still related, I'm more on the behavioral science or observing people, since I studied a lot of psychology in college.
So initially, you don't want to become a lawyer, but instead of finishing psychology, you have in mind to become a physician or a doctor.
No, Your Honor. It was just one consideration, but it wasn't a goal. I really wanted to practice somewhere that is related with dealing with people. So initially, Your Honor, I thought of practicing in human resources, which I did for a time while being a law student. But eventually, when I entered student council, that's where my interest in law school really came through.
You mentioned about love story. You have any relationship, Miss Hidalgo? You have a boyfriend now or before?
Before, Your Honor. Now I don't have a boyfriend. I'm I'm in a relationship with my studies.
Ah,
I wish, Your Honor.
all right. At present, you are a psych Sambeda Alabang School of Law. And at the same time, at Sambeda Junior High School, am I correct? Is there a high school in the Abbey or Sambeda Alabang?
Yes, Your Honor. In
Or
Alabang,
rather, the high school is now as well as elementary
I'm
in
sorry, Your
Alabang.
Honor.
There is a high school in Alabang, Sambeda.
Your Honor, the San Beda in Alabang is different from the one in San Beda, Menjola, Manila. And the one you are referring to, that their high school and the high school department and the elementary department of San Beda in Menjola is in Taytay, I think.
No, there's no in Taytay, in Taytay.
Yes, yes, Your Honor. But in Alabang, our campus in Alabang, we have all departments from primary grade school to we even have graduate school. We have our own. And I manage my job is focused on the admissions and the assessment testing for junior high school and school of law students.
And at present, likewise, that you started to take up law at UST for 2 years.
Yes, Your
Then
Honor.
you transferred to San Beda. So at present, what year in law are you in now?
I'm
Third
currently
year?
second
Second
year.
year?
Second year, Your Honor. I had
Second year.
to repeat it.
And you are supposed to graduate when?
2023, Your Honor.
And do you think that being a psychometrist would help you in the discharge of your duties as a lab member if appointed? Did I hear you clearly that you propose to include in the setting up of standards in the
Yes, Your Honor.
school, including psychology?
Yes, Your Honor. It can be one, as I suggested earlier, it can be included as part of the standard, a psychology test. We can provide schools with the tests that we recommend. To answer your question, Your Honor, yes, I think that being a psychometrician will be very helpful if ever appointed. Because, Your Honor, my profession and my undergraduate experience has exposed me in a lot of research and data gathering. And I think as a representative, that's very important because I want to I want to echo out the concerns of the students, taking in as much research as I can, making sure that I was able to really, in scientific terms, at least get the valid value of how I can say that it was really what the population of the student think or believe that they need to have. So that's one advantage that I think I have.
And you are also actively involved in the Association of Law Students of the Philippines. Am I correct?
My term recently expired, Your Honor, in November. Right now, I'm just assisting with the transitions. When the new officers have questions, that's how I participate. But I'm not as actively involved right now as I was before.
So you had been a Secretary General and then your term has expired.
Yes, Your Honor.
So far, what have you learned from such exposure?
Um, Your Honor, I have learned that there are a lot of concerns from the students, and I have learned that we should really listen to the students and their opinions. In a personal experience, Your Honor, I recently learned that there are law students, who don't know.
All right, with so many, sorry.
Oh yes, Your Honor. Sorry.
All right, please continue.
Oh, in a I personally experienced this, Your Honor. Recently, I found out there are some law students that don't exactly understand what is the mandate of the LED or what it is for. So that's a problem, and I had to discuss with them what I think it's for and what the law says it's for. and for them, they don't feel that it's there. So I've learned that these problems need to be addressed, and if ever given the chance, Your Honor, I would really prioritize in orienting the students what the LEB is for and what it can do for them as students.
All right, with so many going on in your life, law school, employment, your extracurricular activities, and the possibility of this legal education board membership, do you think you can still focus on your studies?
Yes, Your Honor. Because Your Honor, law, the legal profession has always been an interest for me, and it's always been not just a chore for me, but it's something that I really take as something that gives me satisfaction. So gives me learning the law, experiencing some of the things that we experience in class. It um, it really makes me happy. It's not a burden for me. So I don't think that the other things would make studying the law more difficult. They would be challenges, of course, but not necessarily make everything as hard. And I believe, Your Honor, that everything else that I'm doing is a part and parcel of me wanting to become a lawyer in the future. So, for example, applying for the LEB, Your Honor, is one of the things that I think will make me a good lawyer in the future.
And how do you intend to manage your time considering the demands therefrom?
At present, Your
What
Honor,
specific is
sorry, Your Honor,
okay, please continue. Sorry.
specific, ano po? Sorry, Your Honor. Specific things that I would do, Your Honor, if that is the question.
What
I've always been disciplined in the things that I do. So there's proper time management, and learned to I've actually learned how to say no properly to things to things that aren't my priority at the moment. So, for example, if there are things that need to be done in my extracurricular activities, but I need to prioritize things in law school and in work, I have to say no to other things, and I don't I've never seen that as a problem for me. Um, and I think that's it.
so in case of conflict, which will you prioritize?
If ever, Your Honor, I would prioritize, of course, the LED because unless, Your Honor, I think, sorry, Your Honor, because if I don't, if for example, there's something that needs to be done in the LEB and I don't do it, I might be violating the conduct of a public official, which would affect my record and affect my record eventually as I take the bar exams. So practically, practically, Your Honor, I would prioritize the position. But if ever I can work around it, my studies will always be the priority. If ever there are things that I can reschedule, for example, if I can reschedule that wouldn't be much prejudice to other people, I would reschedule meetings or I would reschedule stuff that um, where when I can't sacrifice my law studies.
Instead of maintaining your academic standing
Your Honor, sorry.
in the school?
Um, Your Honor, as I said, it always be a priority. It is my number one priority, given that I think the appointed position of the LEB, Law Student Sector Representative, is well, I wouldn't be a representative if I wasn't a law student, a good law student, in the first place. So my studies would always be a priority. But if there are instances where I would be needed in the LEB, for example, and would and it and in violation of such would subject me into ethical and administrative sanctions. I would have to compromise on some things, and I would have to uh, I would really have to um, choose LEB if that were the case.
By the way, Ms. Hidalgo,
Yes, Your Honor.
what are the duties and responsibilities of students?
Of the students, Your Honor. Um,
Yes.
it is our duty to study, to follow the rules and regulations set by the school and the administration, and to follow diligently the authorities that impose our regulations upon us. So I think those are the duties and responsibilities.
Have you come across or read the Section 15 Batas Pambansa Bilang 232 or the Education Act of 1982?
Um, I read through it, Your Honor, but not specifically memorized the provisions.
Right. What strengths would you bring to the board if and when you're appointed?
I'm very approachable, Your Honor, and I'm very outgoing. So if ever the board would need to communicate with law students or even law professors, faculty members, and administrations, they could easily tap me because I'm confident and I approach people easily. I'm not shy, and I always have confidence to speak to people, and I don't. And um, I also acknowledge I'm never afraid of asking questions, which I think is very important as a law student sector representative, because I'm always engaged enough to ask people what they think is wrong, what they think would be a better improvement, if for them what do they think should be better applied. I'm not shy. I don't shy away from asking questions from people when I have the opportunity.
You stated that you are approachable and fond of going out. Mahilig ka sa gimmick.
Not really, Your Honor. Right now, of course, not. No, but I'm easy to have a conversation with, Your Honor, and I think that's a strength. If given the position, Your Honor, if my job would entail me to actually ask the members, the students, um, and voice out their concerns, it's one thing that I'm sure I can deliver with in the LEB.
And I heard that from the interviews and answers, you mentioned that you're just wondering why there is no bill amending Republic Act 7662 to identifying considering the perennial problem of the law schools in suitably preparing their students harder bar examinations in the practice of law. And do you believe that there is a more aligned approach to be implemented beginning the law school until the bar examinations?
I, Your Honor, I mentioned about the amendment as it was mentioned in the ruling in the Supreme Court that it was already settled that legal education does not encroach upon the legal education of already practicing lawyers or those individuals that are members of the bar. that was one of the things in the ruling, in the court's ruling, that they said um, still causes some problems because the law as it stands now is still unamended. But if ever in terms of the mandate of the Legal Education Board in providing supervision and regulation to prepare the students for the bar examinations, um, I think, Your Honor, what we have right now, the system that we have right now, it works. It's I think it's okay. It's adequate. That it prepares it prepares lawyers. It prepares students to become lawyers. Um, but I think we can do more. Um, we can do more. And if ever I be given that the chance to become a law student sector representative, um, I would take in the suggestions and the recommendations of the students and those who just recently graduated from law school but are candidates for the bar. Also take in their opinions on how we can improve and how they think they have been prepared by the system and how it should be made better. And I would also take in the opinions of those who are already members of the bar so that we can all create a better policy that would improve the legal education as it is.
What is your take if a bill is passed seeking to abolish the Legal Education Board and creates a legal education office under the Supreme Court to enhance the legal education in the country and to align legal education with the bar examinations and the legal profession? It will put to provide a more inclusive and coordinated framework in the conduct of legal education involving relevant stakeholders in close partnership and under the supervision of the Honorable Supreme Court. What is your take if the bill is passed here? It is the more aligned approach for law students be directed toward the uniform direction.
I actually think, Your Honor, that it is a good idea. I would support it, but of course, it would be still subject to further studies and further deliberations. As if based on just what you said, Your Honor, I think that it would be a good idea because I think I suggested this in my written exam that the what's this the end of all of it, the end of legal education, or the true test of the legal education is ultimately the bar examinations. And it would be really a good idea if the people who administer the bar examinations, the people who create the test, the Supreme Court, those who provide the certain standard for the admission to the bar, would already be involved in the admission of the students and how they are trained to become part of the bar. So it's like um, they already put their inputs in as an arm because as what you said, if we create this office, it would be under the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would bring down their ideas and suggestions on, okay, this is how we're going to frame the bar exams. This is what we are expecting for the future lawyers. So we suggest that you create your policy as pattern to it as much as possible. In turn, Your Honor, I think it would actually increase the numbers of students who pass the bar. Because if that were the case, if the Supreme Court is the one who actually guides the implementations in the legal education sector, or those who facilitate the bar exams, already have their inputs in the legal education sector, the students would already know what to expect. The students would already be subject to the rigorous training that they expect they would be subjected to in the future. So as early as first year, if we could be trained as if we're already really studying for the bar, well, that's how they always put it, that as early as first year, you're already preparing for the bar. If it were that kind of discipline that we already have, we would have more lawyers, we would have more chances to actually pass the bar exam.
All right, just Pindosa, only last question. Although my time is up. Although, all right,
Okay lang,
Miss
maikli lang
Hidalgo,
ang akin.
an old man. Anong may kilag?
Tanong, yung tanong.
Sorry. Anong? All right, Miss Hidalgo. An old man took a walk every day at the same time. One day, the old man left in the middle of the night for his walk. Why?
Because he wanted to take a different path in a different circumstance. He wanted to take a different challenge and try something new.
All right, thank you. The answer is midnight was the time for his daily walk. All right, thank you. Thank you for your
Oh,
effort.
Your Honor.
And
Thank you, Your Honor.
all right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Mr. Hidalgo, and good luck. All right, your turn, Justice Mendoza. So sorry.
Okay, no
Thank you,
problem.
Judge Ilaw.
All right,
The
thank you.
next
I
two,
did.
the last two propound searching questions to Ms. Hidalgo.
Searching.
Two propound searching. Is Honorable Justice Jose Cachal Mendoza.
Okay. Thank you, Edith.
Ready to go.
Attorney,
Afternoon, Your
ano,
Honor.
Miss Hidalgo. Uh, I was supposed, I am adapting the questions of my colleagues. They have extensively covered what I was supposed to ask, especially Justice Tiham when he asked you about, because you're a psychometrician. Uh, now, have you read the case of Pimentel versus Legal Education Board?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Have you read the dissenting opinions? Oh no, and separate opinions.
Not all of it, Your Honor. Just
Not all of it.
yes,
What
Your
did you
Honor.
read? What separate opinion did you read?
The opinion of Justice Leonen, Your Honor.
Of
Justice Leonen.
how about the Justice Esmundo?
No, Your Honor. It was
No. Why
it
did
was
you
it was
choose?
very long.
Why did you choose the opinion of Justice Leonin?
No, Your Honor. It was the second one,
It
and
was the second
was
one.
the second one, and it was an opinion that I actually agree with because the line of his opinion was more on the science of applying the test, which because of my experience, I really agree with and I resonate with. But I wasn't able to read the other opinions, Your Honor.
So I cannot ask you about the other opinions. Anyway, you have read the main decision. Uh, there were two items which were declared as constitutional, four items unconstitutional, and four other items for also being unconstitutional for being ultra vires. Do you remember them?
As far as I remember, Your Honor, what was declared constitutional was the jurisdiction of the Legal Education Board for the legal education system. And the second one, it was declared constitutional for the Legal Education Board to provide standards and regulations for accredited law schools. But the court expounded on um, this power and authority, Your Honor, that it has to be well within only providing standards, supervision, Your Honor, sorry, providing supervision and regulatory regulation for accredited law schools and not control. The provisions declared unconstitutional, I believe, were the ones related to the direct encroachment of um, the law, the direct encroachment of the law to the authority on the authority of the Supreme Court in terms of the admission to the members of the bar and the regulation of the continuing legal education, which would be an encroachment on on the power of the court, as it has already been providing members of the bar with the mandatory continuing legal education. I can't remember the
Cannot remember the others.
yes, Your Honor, but it the
Anyway, the decision promulgated last September 2019, not 2020, 2019, is not yet final and executory because there are several pending motions for reconsideration. In your personal opinion, do you fully, anyway, that I'm just asking in your opinion, the decision is not yet final and executory. In your opinion, was the decision correct? Be
yes,
specific. That's correct. You agree with everything
I'm just trying to recall, Your Honor.
because you agreed with Justice Leon, and so you agreed with everything.
It was a separate opinion. So
Yes.
I focused more actually, Your Honor, on the constitutionality of the PhilSat, which in the decision I really agree with that the court correctly held for me, Your Honor. It correctly held that the PhilSat should be a consideration because it's just an aptitude test. It shouldn't be the pass or fail exam that would determine the admission of the student in a law school. So the court also gives suggestions in comparison with the NMAT and the LSAT, which I think the LEB initially thought it was trying to mimic that, but it's not what happened. What happened was the PhilSat was a pass or fail exam that determines whether a student should be admitted to law school or not. So I agree with that. I agree, Your Honor, with um, the jurisdiction of the LEB, that it is a separate arm. But taking into consideration the previous question from the one that was asked to me earlier, that if there should be a separate arm that would be under the guidance of the Supreme Court, um, I'm not saying that the LEB would be wrong, but it would also be a good idea because it would have more inputs on how we could guide the students in terms of passing the bar exams. The jurisdiction, in terms of jurisdiction, I think it's valid, it's constitutional. And the court also stressed that it should have, the legal education should have a separate arm for supervision and regulation because legal education is very special and very different. It has a lot of differences compared to other kinds of studies that we have, not just in the Philippines but in other countries as well. So the creation of the LEB and its power over law students, I believe, is um, correct. And I also agree, Your Honor, with how the court declared that legal education in its sense shouldn't include the legal education of those members in the bar. However, Your Honor, the part where I don't agree with is, or I think it could be taken into consideration, is that legal education shouldn't be just for the law students, but it should be for all the members of the legal profession, including those who are already admitted to the bar. The court was correct that it should not encroach with the power of the Supreme Court. In that sense, Your Honor, I think the LEB instead of promulgating sanction, instead of having the authority to impose sanctions when they don't follow the requirements, for example, for the continuing legal education, um, it should be the other way around. Instead of imposing sanctions, the LEB could offer premiums or could offer more benefits for those who would subject themselves to the certain standard. Instead of saying that they're disqualified or something like that, the regulation should be that they would have another level of accreditation, something like that. And I think also, Your Honor, the LEB could also offer other avenues for continuing legal education for those who are already members of the bar. But then again, not making it requirements because that's already within the power of the Supreme Court and the other agencies like the PhilJA, for example, and the IBP. They already have that mandate and they're already doing that. So what the LEB could do is, instead of making it certain requirements that are sanctionable, make it that they have options, that there are other alternative classes for for lawyers who want to further their education, not because it's mandated, but because they really want to learn more. So the LEB could also have that avenue.
Okay. What is, in your view, the power of the state over law schools? What is the nature of that power?
The court in the case, Your Honor, which I agree with this, that it exercises um the state exercise has the right to exercise police power over law schools in such a way that
Police power?
yes, Your Honor, it can regulate as long as it does not
Regarding PhilSat, it can impose PhilSat on the law schools.
But Your Honor, the police power that I'm pertaining to is subject to how
I'm just
jurisprudence.
asking if what is that power? Okay, whether it's supervision,
Oh,
control, or regulation,
it's
which
supervision and regulation, Your Honor.
it's only in Implemental versus Leb, it was stated that the state, in the exercise of its reasonable supervision and regulation over education, can only impose minimum regulation. Now, minimum regulations, what is your understanding of this? Are there parameters?
Yes, Your Honor.
What?
My understanding of minimum regulation is
Yes.
that these are the standards that at least meet the mandate of the state to provide adequate to supervise and regulate the professionals. So
Are
drawing
there
from
parameters? Are there parameters?
um um I'm trying to recall, Your Honor, if it was stated in the case.
When you say minimum, there is a limit, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are the parameters then? What are its limitations? When you
Provided, Your Honor, that the supervisory and the regulatory power does not encroach on the academic freedom of the institution and the academe, members of the academe, and does not violate the Bill of Rights of the students or any other persons who may be subject to the certain limitations of the state.
okay. Now, what is the nature of student enrollment with the school? Is what is it? Is it a contract?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a contract that is binding between the school and the individual that enrolls.
What?
Therefore,
Oh, describe the contract.
it has to be don't know how to how to describe it.
Distinguish it from an ordinary contract. What separates it or distinguish it from an ordinary contract?
Your Honor, I think I believe the difference is the school where you enroll, where the student enrolls in, already prescribes the contract where the enrollee merely assents and gives his consent that he will abide with the rules and regulations.
Oh, that's very
Um,
basic. Oh, an ordinary contract. What else?
um, the kind of contract, however, there on the part of the enrollee, there is nothing that the school will change um, for him or her. Unlike in an ordinary contract, that there has to be the meeting of the minds that if something is unfavorable for one
You mean
person
to
or one
say it's
party,
a contract of adhesion? That's what you're trying to say?
I can't recall specifically, Your Honor.
What is a contract of adhesion? You
Um,
finished that in first year, right?
in obligations and contracts, Your
Yes.
Honor.
What is a contract of adhesion?
I can't remember, Your Honor.
Cannot remember.
It's is it a? I think I'm wrong if I say it's a unilateral one, where the where one party subscribes to um the to what the other party sets forth, and it cannot be changed. He can only assent to it or dissent to it. I think I'm wrong.
You think you're wrong. What do you think is the right answer?
Um, I don't know, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Why do you know that you're wrong?
Um,
Why do you say that you're wrong? Ikaw nagsasabi na you are wrong. I'm not saying that you are wrong.
um, I I don't I don't know, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Well, in Isabelo versus Perpetual Repo College, it was described as not an ordinary contract, but a contract imbued public interest. So, when a student enrolls in a school, is it a semester to semester contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or the school may be compelled to renew the contract? I mean to say, all things being the same.
Um, I think generally, Your Honor, um, it's only a school. It's only bound by the time they agree with. So, for example, I enroll for one semester. We're only bound to that agreement for this particular semester.
Oh, diba the student has a right to be enrolled for the entire period in order to complete his course.
I believe, Your Honor, in technical, in
When you say technical, what do you mean?
because the way I interpret it, Your Honor, the semester
The technical?
is just one part, wherein one part of the whole enrollment period,
So,
and of the whole educational period, if I'm getting
so
it
a
correctly.
student can demand that he be enrolled for the entire period, although the matriculation is on a semester to semester basis.
Um,
Do you agree with that?
no, Your Honor.
No, so if you are a justice, you will disagree with the Supreme Court in Isabella versus Perpetual Health. In that case, it recognizes the right of student to be enrolled for the entire period in order to complete his course. That is the general rule. Do you know any exception?
No, Your Honor. I apologize. I haven't read that.
Suppose you are
Or
academically deficient. Is the school obliged to admit you in the next semester?
no, Your Honor. I believe they have the right to set their on standards and qualifications on who they readmit if ever that is the case that students are allowed to be enrolled during the time they are considered students of the institution at the period where they're expected to complete their education.
In that case, it was written academic freedom has never been meant to be an unlicensed. It is a privilege that assumes a correlative duty to exercise it responsibly. What is your understanding of that?
Academic freedom, Your Honor, should be exercised um, reasonably, and it has to be justified that there is a necessity for the school to implement certain rules or use certain methods in furthering their educational system. So it doesn't mean that the institution or the academy is free to do whatever they want or free to has the freedom to impose qualifications that they think would meet their school. It has to be reasonable enough that it meets it meets the reasonably accepted qualifications that they have as a school that um, they are entitled to have, and it should be well within the limits of the law. The academic freedom is not allowed to be exercised freely as if it were to infringe on the rights of the students, even though they are under the school's authority.
Okay. You're a psychometrician. Uh, uh, what's the advantage of being a psychometrician in the LEB?
My advantage, Your Honor, would be is that my profession um, is really trained and well skilled in the area of research, in the area of scientific research. And I think that could be really helpful since there are a lot of policies that would be better implemented if we relied on research that we actually gathered from school.
Research on
Um, for example, Your Honor, I would cite just an example. I don't think there is an existing research yet, or if it hasn't been made public, of what certain standard, numerical standard, do we have in the legal education that actually correlates to the bar examinations. Um, in that area where I'm a bit skilled in statistics and research, maybe we could try to find what really is the value or what really is the factor that determines a capability of the student in passing the bar. So
a psychometrician is different from a psychologist,
yes, Your Honor.
correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the difference?
A psychologist, Your Honor, as a minimum requirement, they have to have finished a master's degree in psychology, and then they have to pass the bar exam. Sorry, Your Honor, they have to pass the PRC license for psychologists. They're allowed to administer therapies and treatments limited to behavioral and psychological treatments. They're not allowed to administer psychotherapy that involves drugs. Compared to a psychometrician, we are not allowed to give therapies yet or give advice.
Also,
Yes, Your Honor.
who is allowed?
The psychologist. The psychometrician,
But you also, oh,
we're only allowed, Your Honor, to give psychological tests and make the report about the individuals and the clients, and how the treatment would be formed or administered later on. It is not within our power or our authority anymore. It would be with the psychologist.
how about the psychiatrist?
If the
What is his or her advantage over a psychologist or a psychometrician?
if the client would need further treatment that would involve drugs, Your Honor, or medicine, um, only the psychiatrist can prescribe the medicine that is intended for managing mental health conditions.
You're a psychometrician. Uh, if you would be appointed, what would you recommend to the board as far as your your field is concerned?
I would recommend, Your Honor, the continuous and improved implementation of the mental health programs for law students, um, which, in another suggestion, I would like to propose more activities for them based on research that we conduct, that we actually identified as the needs that the student has. I'm not sure how they were able to form the programs that they have now, but there is a recommended way on how you can implement programs for mental health of individuals. And if ever appointed, Your Honor, I would conduct those studies, those assessments that would be a tool for us to create these necessary mental health programs for law students. And on and another thing is, Your Honor, I would spearhead researches to provide law schools, to provide the LEB and even eventually the Supreme Court, Your Honor, with data that is statistically analyzed and interpreted for its advantage on how it can further improve the legal education and, in effect, the practice of law in our country.
Okay, that will be all, Miss Hidalgo.
Thank you,
You
Your
are
Honor.
excused. Oh,
Thank you, Your Honor.
oh,
With that, we wrap up the morning session of the public interview.